You ever wonder what makes a great gamer? Great gaming is not only about cheering on our teammates, but also being there to pick us up when we're down.
Guardian down!
Have you ever played Destiny with a fellow Guardian and thought to yourself, I wonder what their life is like? Questions like these spark conversation, friendship, and community. We're a Destiny 2 podcast that focuses on three things: community, news around the gaming industry and Destiny 2, and thought-provoking topics in the game. We're Guardian Downcast. Your stories, your community, your destiny. What's up, Guardian? Welcome to episode 290, almost there, of Guardian Downcast. I'm your host, ToddtheGatr, and I'm a Day One Guardian who loves gaming, and especially the Destiny franchise. We're the podcast that's all about your stories, your community, and your destiny. This week, I have my co-host, Kingsleymac, with me tonight. How are you, sir?
Hey, I'm doing great. Glad to be here.
Yeah, man, you sound excited. Must have been an exciting week for you. I don't know what's going on, but you'll have to tell me about it.
Nothing much at all.
Nothing, none? Okay. Cool. For those of you who may have just discovered our podcast, we are a weekly gaming show with an emphasis on the Destiny franchise, and we like to sprinkle in some entertainment and other topics of discussion relating to our hobby from time to time as well. But we have been producing audio episodes for nearly 6 years now, and as the game has evolved, we've adapted things as well in our show. So we've decided to produce a live show and a live version of our show in video form on our YouTube channel. That's ToddtheGatr. And also in our Discord, which is Guardian Downcast, Discord. And the invite to that is discord.gg/Guardian Downcast. If you'd like an invite to join our community, check out these awesome people in our Discord community. We'll also have a replay of tonight's show if you were unable to catch the live version. And it's Thursday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern time, God's time. That's when our show is on every week. And of course, for whatever podcast app listeners we have out there, and we have many, you can always listen anytime or go to our website, guardiandowncast.com, for any individual episodes whenever you like. In this episode, we'll start by Mike and I catching up on our week. We'll then give our initial impressions of week 1 of episode 3, Heresy. We also have a segment after that where we'll have some tips and tricks. I think Mike brought some tips and tricks tonight, which I'll probably be listening to that part as well. We'll get into This Week in Destiny from Bungie, which has a few little things in there, not too huge this week. So we'll just skim over that quickly. And then finally, we'll go out with some questions from our community. And one of them is a voicemail. I just want to remind you that if you have any feedback for us from anything we talk about on the show tonight, we really encourage you to let us know about it. Let's hear it. It's discord.gg/Guardian Downcast. And you can go to our show, our GDC feedback channel is actually the name of the channel, where you can chime in, and we really get into it week to week usually with our shows from engagement from our membership. So, and of course you can email us at guardiandowncast@gmail.com or send us a voicemail with your thoughts or questions at speakpipe.com/Guardian Downcast, or hit our website, guardiandowncast.com, and it'll say leave a voicemail or something like that. Just click that button. All you need is your phone. It's that easy. It's a balmy 75-degree night here in Central Florida. So if everyone's ready, let's roll.
Hey, McMaximo here, one of the other Todds. You're listening to the Guardian Downcast, home of the coolest Discord group on the frickin' planet. Word.
All right, before we get into our Destiny talk tonight, and obviously we don't need to talk about what we did this week in Destiny because we're going to get into that part. But, other parts of our life, entertainment, other games and things like that. I always like to just catch up real quick here before we get into our Destiny talk. So Kings, I'll start with you. Anything, you wanted to mention you've been doing this week?
This week was pretty chill until the update came out for Destiny. Not anything too notable. I do want to catch a movie that you saw, so I'll hear your review, and I'm looking forward to it at some point. TV shows, still just rewatching Through the Wire, and other gaming was even kind of dying off a little bit before Black Flag. I wasn't playing as much right before, so nothing too notable about this week as far as like extracurricular stuff. But I feel like it was a chill week. It went pretty fast. Nothing to complain about. Well, I will say one interesting thing. Sometimes we talk about weather and stuff. Unseasonably warm here in Utah. We had 60s.
I was going to say, what's warm? What's warm to you guys?
For cold weather states in February, it's not normal to be in the 60s.
But Puxatawny Phil said something different.
Well, I know there's no way that's ever legit because the United States is so big, different regions. And typically I've noticed the last few years, the west part of the United States has been a little bit warmer than the east, aside from like Florida, which is so far south. But I mean, in general, the west part of the U.S. has generally been warmer than the east. Yeah. And we even noticed that a couple of days ago where like there was like kind of like this arm of warmth that came up through Arizona, Nevada, Utah, a little bit over to Colorado, but then it kind of went back to being colder the further you went east. So we had some chill, nice rain, just light rain. Okay. It wasn't like rainstorm or anything. And, or when the sun was out, it was fairly warm these last couple of days.
You can always count on Florida to set records. We had like one of the coldest weeks. We even had snow like 2 weeks ago. And now we've been in the high 80s, mid 80s for the last 2 weeks. It's just been crazy differences, but, yeah.
Well, because the snow you're not used to as much. I mean, California always has the biggest range because you got Death Valley. And so that goes into like the 130s, 140s during the summer. Yeah. But then California also has, other than Alaska, the tallest mountain in the United States. And so you also get snow. And we would always joke, but we were kind of proud growing up. It's like one of the few places you can go surfing and snowboarding in the same day if you really want to.
Come on. California is like the whole eastern seaboard put together. It's crazy.
I know, right?
I've been in California, in Southern California, but I've never been up in the northern part. Hopefully one day I will. But,
well, even in Southern, there's mountains. People don't think about it. And the mountains are only about an hour-ish away if there's no traffic from everything. So, you really can go surfing and snowboarding in the same day during the winter or whatever,
I had a question for you. When I was up there, visiting you, I think a couple years ago now, Park City, Utah. I did not know the Sundance Film Festival is there. Did we pass that area when we were up there?
I don't know if you passed that area. Probably not, because it's east of Salt Lake along the I-80. So unless you were on that freeway at all.
We stuck pretty much to Salt Lake, I think.
Yeah. Park City is like where all the famous ski resorts are. There's some closer to Salt Lake too in the mountains, but Park City is like the main area, kind of like equivalent to like, the fancy Colorado areas too. And yes, I never knew Sundance has been there, although this may be the last year because it's probably moving away for reasons. I forget why.
Really? They just had a story. Yeah. Just had a national story about it. That's really weird.
Well, I'll have to keep up, but a year or two ago, it was announced that it wasn't going to be here in another couple of years. I don't know why. I'll have to see if they changed their mind and they're going to keep it again. But historically for the last lots and lots of years, yes, it's always Park City, Utah.
Okay. I didn't even realize I was probably just a few miles away from it. I just didn't know.
It's a nice area.
I thought it was in Colorado.
Oh, no. Yeah. I mean, see, us in Utah and Colorado gets known a little bit more for its ski resorts, but Utah has just as good, if not better ones. And it's lesser known except for things like Sundance or whatever. And we always have fights with Colorado, like who has the better ski resorts and stuff. But,
right.
But yeah, Utah is just like Colorado as far as that part goes when you have the mountains and nice ski resorts.
It's a beautiful city, man. I always flew over it or stayed, came through as, like the hub, Delta's hub, I think. And, I was always like, man, it just doesn't look like much, but man, it was such a beautiful trip. We went. I'd love to go back. I mean, my God, Bryce Canyon, Acadia. Was it Acadia? No, that's Maine. The other national park,
Bryce, Zion.
Wow. It didn't even look,
area.
Didn't even look real.
There's so many. Yeah.
the rock was so artificially red, it just didn't even look real. But anyway, sorry, I'll ramble on if you let me. What else you been up to this week, man?
That's about it. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Sorry. I sidetracked us as
fine.
usual. I have entertainment wise, I have a few things I want to mention tonight. My wife and I did go see 2 new movies this week. But I tell you what, I found a couple TV or streaming shows that I wanted to make sure I mentioned tonight. I've been watching, of course, Severance. I've been keeping up with that week to week, which is an outstanding show. I never knew it was so good on Apple TV. And my wife and I are trying to catch up on, 1923 because, I think next week the new season comes out. That's the one with Harrison Ford in it. So, we're going to catch up on that. But a really good documentary that my wife and I watched this past week on Peacock, which is NBC's streaming platform. And we saw a 4-part documentary series called SNL 50 Beyond Saturday Night. Now, I'm a big fan of Saturday Night Live. I remember when I was like 8 years old, back when Saturday Night Live first came out, I used to crawl and sneak into my parents' room, and I would actually watch Saturday Night Live underneath their bed. They didn't even know it. And I was too naive to know what could have probably happened on top of that bed, but it never happened. But, just saying, I watched a lot of Saturday Night Live, and, this documentary was outstanding. It was in 4 parts. The, first part, was all about the 5-minute auditions that each of the cast members had to do. So the cast member would sit there and watch their 5 minutes, their 5-minute sketch or their 5-minute improv that they had to do in front of this huge table. It was on the live stage, by the way, too. So, and a lot of them would watch it back, like Amy Poehler would watch it back and say, "Oh God, that's so embarrassing." And it was just a really good TV. Episode 2 was all about the making of the More Cowbell sketch. I don't know if you know about that, but it's the one with Will Ferrell, and he talks about all but he talks about all the components and timelines of putting that one sketch together. And they were hoping that the guest, which was Christopher Walken, was going to play along with it and how impactful he would be on it. And this episode really just shows how much time and attention goes into a single sketch. It was pretty eye-opening, and I have a newfound respect for what these people do, putting sketches together. The third episode was even better. It's all about the writers. It's all about that infamous writer's room where they have to pitch their ideas in a day. They have one day. They crunch like all night writing jokes, and then the guest host will be in the writer's room and listen to the ideas that they throw out. And let's just say some of them have been duds and some of them been okay. But legends like Larry David, I don't know if you know, used to write for Saturday Night Live, but he talks about the torture that was that writing room, and how stressful it was to create sketches for the guest host, and the struggle to get that sketch that they really fighting for to be on the show. So it's really super ultra competitive as far as the writers. The final episode was all about that weird year of SNL where Lorne Michaels had returned to the show after like a 3 or 4 year hiatus. It was that mysterious 11th season, and it kind of reshaped how Saturday Night Live went forward to season 50 today. But like I said, I grew up on Saturday Night Live. I've always been a fan, even though it's not funny all the time. I love the musical guest. I love all the skits and stuff, how they put it all together. I'm a fan of comedy. I love stand up and stuff. So, but there's a 2-hour documentary created by Questlove of The Tonight Show that reveals all of the backstories of the musical guests that came through that show in the last decades of being on the air. So that's what my wife and I will be watching tomorrow night. So, we've been out every night. My sister-in-law's birthday. Just every night there seemed to be something. I got a haircut tonight. We got dinner out again tonight, some fast food. So this is tomorrow will be the first night we're actually going to be home. But, speaking of, streaming, I did see another brand new series on Hulu called Paradise. It stars Sterling K. Brown. I don't know if you know him from This Is Us. And James Marsden from Westworld, who played the naive cowboy in Westworld. It's about a Secret Service bodyguard for the president, that's played by Sterling, who finds himself in a situation where he knows something so top secret. It's at the highest levels that will change him and his family's life forever. I've watched the first 2 episodes now, and it is eye-opening. really good writing. It really grabs you on that first episode. So, that might be something you want to check out if you have Hulu. I'm still watching The Pit on HBO Max. Super good show. Yellow Jackets will be back next week, February 14th. Let's see, movie-wise, I saw 2 new movies this past week in the theaters, thanks to my AMC Stubs A-List membership. The first is a more independent film. It's about thousands of years into the future, where we're extinct, by the way. And there's 2 smart machines that connect electronically. I know, what the hell, right? The movie is called Love Me, and it stars Kristen Stewart and Stephen Yeun, from, the zombie series everyone knows him from. But it's what I consider an art film, which to me means the director or the writer is trying to make a statement more than just putting a nice storyline together that you can follow. So you're just supposed to enjoy the artistry. And yes, it's a blend of real life and animation. They blended together, but, that really wasn't a whole lot of story. And let me just save you the time. There's no roles, there's no plot. It's just eye candy, I guess you could say. But, I give it 2.5 stars, and I'm giving it a half a star because it looked pretty. 43% from critics, by the way, on Rotten Tomatoes. So yeah, you might want to skip that one. The second movie I saw was in the theater this past week. It's called Companion. And initially it wasn't on my radar, but when I saw a near perfect score from critics on Rotten Tomatoes, I had to take another look at it. So Mrs. Gator and I went and saw that this past Tuesday. It stars Sophie Thatcher, which you may know was from that awesome movie that Mike and I gushed over called Heretic. And she played one of the Mormon girls in that movie. But it's about a new cybernetic robot that was created to be a companion for another human. It starts out pretty simply, but by the middle and the end of the movie, you're going to be feeling much differently. I really don't want to spoil anything, but I think you're going to like it. It's 3 3/4 stars for me. I really enjoyed it, and it was very entertaining. And I'm sure it'll be out on streaming platforms soon enough. So when it does, make sure you put it on your favorites list, because it's going to be really good. And I think it was it Jimmy Rayner who asked me if I had seen I'm trying to remember what.
Well, on Companion real quick too, I heard the movie is only 90 minutes, which is kind of cool.
Both movies actually were 90 minutes long. So they were pretty quick movies. Thank goodness on the first one. I'm
really excited for Companion. I think I might have mentioned it to you also. I just haven't had a chance to see it yet.
I think you'll like it. I think he was asking me about Emilia Perez. It was, nominated.
That bombed, didn't it?
It was nominated for Best Movie of the Year. I tell you who loved it. The critics love it. But if you look at the Rotten Tomatoes score on it, the audience hates this movie. It's like 20%. It's not good at all. And I actually saw the previews to Emilia Perez. I'm not that guy, I swear, but it's a musical. It's a musical. So, I don't know. See for yourself.
It's not because of the musical part it bombed too, because obviously Wicked did really well. But from what I understand, even people that have seen it, it's just like weird, and the acting and the story is not very good from what I've been told. Maybe someone likes it who's out there, but it's funny the critics like it, because everyone else it's pretty much said that the movie's.
It's all over the place. I watched some of the previews on it. I actually watched the Golden Globes, and they showed some cut scenes from it, and I was like, it's very risque. I mean, it's near rated X. I mean, there's some really risque scenes in there. But secondly, it was just like all over the place. It just didn't click with me. I may not be their audience. Who knows? But I don't want to poo-poo it before people go see it. But it was, of course, I'd put it under that art film segment where the critics loved it because it was off Broadway or something. I don't know. Anyway, a few movies to keep an eye on that are coming up. Becoming Led Zeppelin. It's a music documentary. It's going to be out this Friday. My wife and I cannot wait to see that because we're big Led Zeppelin fans. Mickey 17. It's about a guy who clones himself, and it's a futuristic type movie. That's March 7th. The Gorge, Apple TV, Miles Teller and Anna Taylor-Joy. Keep an eye on this one. It's next week. February 14th is on Apple TV. I'm really looking forward to that one. And there's another one called Love Hurts that's coming out this week, which is, I'm on the fence on that one. But that is it for me, Kingsley. That is all I had on my list for this week. So unless you have something else to add, I guess it's our first impressions.
Yeah, first impressions.
Okay.
And player count and all that stuff. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we'll have to get into our bet. We need to definitely get into our bet. All right, we will get into that after this.
Hey Guardians, I'm currently freezing my butt off because Gator has the thermostat too low, but you're listening to Guardians Downcast.
You're listening to what?
You heard me.
No, it's Guardian Downcast. Do I have to be jealous?
I know.
I'm over this. Cut. All right, Kingsley, I know before we even get into our day one impressions, I think we had a little bet about what we thought the player numbers would be on week one of, the peak of week one for Heresy. And I think I said like 30 to 40,000 or what mine was going to be under. Let's see. You have the numbers in front of you?
I don't, unfortunately. And I would say also you said like 30 or 40. And I feel bad. I should have written them down.
I got them.
I don't even remember what I said, but I said either 60 or 80, and I don't remember which one I said now. But either way, I know yours were lower around that range and mine were higher around the range I said.
I think I was a little more pessimistic and you were more optimistic. So, all right, we'll look at them here. I got them in front of me.
Yeah, so if we want to know how it ended up, the peak for it on opening day, which is the peak so far, which was on Tuesday, it actually hit 77,000.
Wow. Yeah, it did. And I definitely did not expect 70,000. I think the last peak was what, like 50,000? I think I was aiming at 50. I thought maybe about 50.
Maybe this is why I actually felt realistic with these numbers because I don't know why you never knew, but I went back and looked, and October 8th when Revenant came out, it actually was about 80,000 also. Now, it went down a lot quicker, and I want to add some other interesting stuff. So far for these next two, for yesterday and today, it has not really gone down that much.
It's still 59,000 or 56,000.
Yesterday, 59,000.
Yeah, I got it on
today, 55,000 for the high. It's looking pretty good so far.
I'm very impressed. All I can figure is that people maybe have thought maybe in their head that the last one is always the best for Destiny going into its new content. That's all I can figure.
Well, and there's reasons to keep going back and playing, which I'll talk about. And HD just said that in the chat too, that it helps that the activity keeps you wanting to play. The other activities in the past, I was a little bit interested in Revenant and the first one, but then I quickly got bored of them. But before I tell more why, I guess we can get into the first impressions.
Well,
anything else about the numbers?
Well,
now remember, people, this is just team numbers.
I will be a man of my word because it's probably somewhere on a video somewhere, so I can't dispute it. I guess I owe you a raid, so if you want to see me struggle through a raid, I was wanting you to play Trials. I was so wanting you to play Trials. I was hoping I'd win. It's all right. I'll get you in Trials one time.
Maybe I'll play Trials still at some point.
Yeah, maybe we'll just do both. Yeah, but I owe you a raid, so if you need an extra for a raid, I'm in, no matter what raid.
We'll figure it out sometime. We might have to back channel it. Well, I know HD's jumping at the gun here. I'm not sure a lot of people will, but we got to make sure at least me and Todd are in it in a time that works for us. So we'll hit up people on who we want with our raid crew.
Sounds good.
And count yourself lucky, or actually count yourself unlucky because you have to raid with us.
We have several in our community that put on raids and help people out every week, and HD Tech is one of those. So we appreciate that, sir. Well, I will, I'll start with you. First week now wait a minute. I heard I was at work. My boss has been a real dick this week. I wanted to stay home and play, and he was like, I'm sorry, dude. You got way too much work to do. You're already behind because of the cold weather we had in Florida. So my boss would not let me off this week. So I only got to play 3 hours night before, Tuesday night. And then I played another hour last night. So that's where I'm at as far as it. But what happened with the servers? I was not there to experience this.
Yeah. So the servers had some problems, and it wasn't because of player count, because we've had higher numbers for seasons and the servers didn't go down. This was just some other issue. We don't really know what. Bungie didn't totally tell us, but it was one of those things where it was even a little bit worse than Final Shape, but not for as long. You know, Final Shape all throughout the day kind of had that reconnecting, but it usually wouldn't totally kick you. You know, you could still kind of keep playing.
Yeah.
But what this was doing was this was actually like actively kicking people. And then they had to shut it down altogether. The people were only in for the people that did get in for maybe an hour-ish or something. And then there was more connection problems. Then they shut it down all the way. And then they did a reboot of the servers. All in all, that lasted maybe 3 hours total. It wasn't a big deal. And then it was super reliable after that. So it really just seemed like some technical problem that they just didn't account for. Again, you know, they have less QA people these days, so that's going to affect everything, including the servers.
And I heard that they hired some of them back, especially the raid and dungeon
QA people?
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, If you have any sources for that, I'd love to.
It's hearsay. I heard it from another podcast, I think. I can't remember which podcast I heard it from, but it was a Destiny podcast.
Yeah.
But I heard that they did bring some people back. Yep.
So, yeah, some minor problems during the day, but all in all, you know, it wasn't that big of a deal. And especially by the evening time and since, it's been great. I haven't noticed any problems, and people are on. And again, the player counts are showing it. I mean, it's not like the good old days where even for seasonal updates, we're looking higher numbers than this, but it's still pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, maybe one other quick thing. Before we get into impressions, I also noticed the calendar for what might be happening.
Yeah.
Now, Bungie did kind of warn us on this a little bit, saying that not all the acts will be the same length.
Right.
But you can go to the next to the season pass bar and see when the different acts are starting. And Act 2 arrives in 34 days, from the launch, and it's going to be starting March 11th. And then Act 2 is only going to be 3 weeks long and only goes till April 1st.
So Kingsley, what's going to happen between then and Frontiers? Are the Frontiers going to come early?
So I started doing the math.
Okay.
And so we don't know about Frontiers' date yet, although there was a rumor. But I was first going off the impression if it wasn't going to get delayed, it'll be coming in June, right? Because that's when the last expansion was. So I was doing the math. Even if Frontiers came out the first week of June, that means Act 3 will be 9 weeks long. All right. What's worse is there was a rumor that came out a couple days ago. There was some calendar that dropped, but then they removed it, saying that Heresy would be ending on July 15th.
What?
So, but then they pulled that. So I don't know if that was information that leaked out that was false, or they didn't want us to know yet, or maybe the date's going to change. But I think, you know, we're always talking about, will Frontiers be delayed or not? It's hard to say still, but either way, best case scenario, Act 3 is going to be a long act. Maybe not as long as some of these 3-4 month, you know, extensions we've had in the past, but it's kind of odd that Act 2 is only 3 weeks, and then Act 3 is going to go 1st of June, best case scenario, to maybe July 15th, what we're hearing. I mean,
that July?
What do you think?
Well, what if, all right, tenfold. What if Frontiers runs parallel with Heresy? What if it gets incorporated into the story? You ever think of that? Maybe they overlap.
I really doubt it for like technical reasons, because, you know, a lot of times they reset everything for the yearly updates.
True. Well, I took my shot. It's the only thing I could think of, because July, I mean,
that's just me being realistic, but
I mean, July, really? That's a long Act 3, man. Well, they did mention they were going to do something like a Pantheon, right? Again, before the...
No, well, and that's another thing. Unless someone else has a different source, I looked up that source that everyone thought they knew. What they were saying was Pantheon's going to come back in the Frontiers year, the fourth quarter of Frontiers. They didn't say it about this year. So it doesn't mean something's not coming, but they didn't say Pantheon for this. They said Pantheon for Frontiers.
Okay.
So the end of, that would be like 2027, basically, 2026 when Pantheon would be coming back.
Corpse D, your boss, A. Wife said you get your ass to work. Actually, I'm the boss. So my conscience wouldn't let me play on when it first came out, which is a good thing.
I love how you say that. I sometimes say that too.
I used to say it all the time.
My boss.
Yeah. But yeah, my wife.
What do you think?
My wife's long gone.
They've got to do at least something. Even if Act 3 is a banger and we're all having fun, we're looking anywhere from 9 weeks to 12 weeks or more. So hopefully there's something that they can add in.
But why the disparity? If they're only going, if we're getting 4 weeks for Act 1, and then you said 3 weeks for Act 2, and then boom, what could they possibly be adding to that's going to last 9 weeks? You talk about a killer. I mean, let's think about it, Kingsley. You want momentum going in. You want people excited and talking going into Frontiers. You don't want people going, I'm not grinding anymore. I'm done. I'm done with Destiny. Uninstall. I mean, that's kind of what Revenant killed a lot of players. Revenant.
Yeah. They would need some mini Into the Light thing, even though, we said they didn't say Pantheon, but they can still do something maybe, or maybe Act 3 is going to be so fun where or maybe it's going to have a big break in the middle. There has some stuff that comes out and then it's but just you wait in a month or two, every week leading up to Frontiers, we're going to do this new cool thing on the Dreadnought. I mean, it's potential. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here.
I was, day one. I mean, when I finally logged in, I logged in at 9:00 Tuesday night. So all the bugs had been patched. Everything had been fixed. So it was perfectly normal me logging in. And, the first story just gut punches you, right? I mean, spoiler alert, someone dies. Someone dies. So, I'm not going to say who. Because,
are we talking spoilers or not? If not, I want to next week at least.
Let's just say, let's leave it vague for this first week. Because there's probably a lot of people who are filtering in and playing or hearing about things that are happening, and I don't want to spoil it for them. But the first story.
No, I get it. And then I just don't want to forget to talk about what actually happened next week or some other week.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. But we'll get, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but, yeah, I mean, we head to the EDZ and, it's a pretty straightforward story. And then we're in the, through these anchors, right? These anchors, you're sucked into the Dreadnaught. Just like that. Through a portal, boom, you're in a Dreadnaught. So, as you probably see our background screen on our podcast tonight, for those of you in the YouTube, channel, it looks really dark and eerie and spooky. And I kind of like it. I like this new Dreadnaught. Yeah, Deadpool. I was pissed too, man. But yeah, I like this new look in the Dreadnaught. And I got to step 7, which everybody was warning me about step 7 as I was talking to people in the Discord. And, apparently there's been some confusion there when you get to step 7 that it says private mode or private, group or something on the screen where it makes you feel like you have to run it solo. A lot of times they'll make you run a dry run, an easier version, right? To get through, step 7, by the way, is, the Nether. It's where you jump into the Nether, the new activity. And, I'm jumping all over the place, Kingsley, so you'll have to rearrange things. When
I have so much more I want to say.
I'm sorry, man. I'm just going by memory of what I remember, but I was there for 90 minutes before I finally beat the big baddie at the end. And I'm going to be vague, but, 3 bosses and then a big baddie at the end. And I was playing peekaboo with this big bad boss at the end. I was getting so frustrated, but the one thing I have to tell you has been a big turnoff for me is the attrition modifier. We've had so many in the Discord agree with me, and yet others thought it was pretty challenging. And the problem I was having, Kingsley, with attrition, I got smart. I brought in my Red Death. I said, no, I'm not going to have any problem with health. I got Red Death. I've got, all my, as far as picking up, all my mods where I pick up an orb and I get health, and it wasn't hardly registering. I mean, I got a kill with Red Death and it moved a millimeter. It was nothing. I was like, this is going to be a long night. I think I had, when I played it solo, I think I had 14 revives left. So I just played it slow. I just took my time through it. But the reason it took 90 minutes is because I found some other secret areas. I was just exploring like they said to do, because it said it was explore mode. And I went exploring, and man, the memories were coming back because I spent so much time on the Dreadnaught. I know these areas like the back of my hand. But when you put this ooey gooey mess everywhere, you kind of lose track of where you are until you enter that room. And, yeah, I did some of the side puzzles and stuff. I didn't have any of the currency to open up the special chests, the secret chests, but now I know where they're at, so it'll be much easier. But, yeah, I put, resistance mods on my armor. I was all set up at 100, I had 100 resilience. I had, everything set up perfectly the way I thought I would last. And I did use my prismatic. I didn't go with a single, I went with my prismatic, what I usually do with my freezing turret and my, what I've been using ever since Final Shape. And I was able to throw out a lot of turrets and stuff, which was really fun. But I had a question, and I'll ask you once you tell me your experience. I'm going to hold my questions until the end. But that okay. So far what I've played, I've been thoroughly impressed. And to me, this doesn't feel anything like Echoes or Revenant felt. It feels like a real true expansion. I really do feel like this is a true DLC, not the filler stuff that I think Echoes, and granted, there were high and low points for Echoes and Revenant, but I'm real excited jumping into this. So yeah, Jimmy Raynor, the fluff. Yeah, exactly. So, that was my day one experience in a nutshell. Let us know what did you, experience this week?
Yeah, I have had an amazing experience so far. To me, this is probably, we're called episodes now instead of seasons, but we often use the word season still just for equivalency.
Right.
But this is probably my favorite season ever. I wouldn't go and say, and this is just without knowing everything so far.
Wow.
I wouldn't say it's quite DLC level, but, for being a season, for being an episode, and how much of the Dreadnaught they actually brought back was more than I was expecting. And I'll go into some more of that later too. I've been having so much fun. The opening mission, again, without spoiling anything, was beautifully orchestrated. It felt action packed. It had several cutscenes in it. Crazy stuff happens. It was exciting. Let's just say there's been way worse opening missions for most seasons. This one was pretty fun. And then the activity, I actually really like it. And the exploration part, I'll start with the Dreadnaught exploration part first. I mean, as you know, I mentioned before, I'm a little bit worried how it will come back, because we saw with the Haunted Derelict Leviathan that I wasn't super impressed. They didn't bring a lot of it back, and it kind of had a weird look and feel to it. I was getting a little bit worried coming into this episode of what it was going to be like. But now that I know that's so far, and there's even rumors that there's going to be a lot more, but there's 4 huge zones of the Dreadnaught back already. This is like a huge explorable space that we don't usually get this much actual, and I know it's reused contents, but they updated a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Either way, they had to, I mean, it's not just a fresh coat of paint. Like, there's like new scaffolding everywhere, new little cubby holes to go in, the old ones that were already there before, lower parts and higher parts that are new from before that they didn't have. They put a fair amount of time and effort into this, because I don't remember ever having this big of a location for a season drop.
Yeah.
Definitely the Leviathan, when it came back, they didn't add as much back to it. So super impressed with that. And I really like the activity also. I'll get into tips about that. My only gripe is I wish they did a bad job with the marketing on how to do the activity and what it meant. They shouldn't have used the word exploration mode, because it gives a wrong impression of what it really is. Somehow I knew better, but like, everyone else practically that I was talking to didn't know any better. And I was even you probably didn't check your DMs that night, Todd, but I was even trying to tell you, like, run the match made one, don't run the solo one.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, like, for some reason I knew better, because if you actually technically look at the quest step, it says run the Nether. It doesn't say run Nether exploration. But I found out from people, if you highlight it, it puts the arrow over the exploration one. Now, arrow doesn't mean people have to remember, arrow doesn't mean that's the only way to get something done, but that's the way that Bungie's showing you. But in the description, it just said the Nether. So you could do either one, the match made or the explore one. In fact, if you really wanted to be more technical about it, if they say run the Nether, you should run the one that says the Nether, not the Nether exploration.
Yeah.
So I ended up running the Nether, which is the match made one, the first time through, had a really good experience. And people, if you haven't jumped into it yet for that step 7, or when you do, run the regular one. It's the note on the right. It's easy with a team of 3. You can get it done in 20, 30 minutes. And it's the other thing that I noticed, because maybe people just don't look at these things, but if you look at each node, the exploration one has the same amount of difficulty as the match made one. They both have the 2 triangles for combatant power. So the other one's not any easier. In fact, it's harder because you're running it solo, because you don't have 2 other teammates to help you, split the fire, the ads being distracted by your teammates, everyone working together. So I'm a little bit perplexed and upset that Bungie messed it up on that aspect, because a lot of people are going into it solo first. And I think it's still fun going into solo. I've run a full solo instance myself all the way through, killed all the bosses, but it is definitely more of a challenge. And in fact, if it was true exploration, what they should allow is, it's hard because they don't want you to go to the other zones until you complete a boss of a zone. So they put up the screens, and until you kill the main boss of that zone after the 3 sub bosses, then you can go to the next zone. But I wish the explore one truly lets you explore all the zones, not just the first zone. And then if you want to move to the second one, you have to actually kill the boss. So then you move to the second one. It is weird. I understand all that, but please, people, don't think the match made one is higher. And in fact, another thing you got to remember, every seasonal activity ever in the past of Destiny, a seasonal activity is either a 3-player or a 6-player activity. So why would this be any different? Yes, they have the solo one, but if you're going through the quest steps, you're always going into a 3-player activity. So again, for me, that was one more reason why it was obvious to pick the one on the right. I guess I just lucked out by not clicking highlight and seeing the arrow on the left like so many people did. So that was a bummer.
When it said explore, I figured, okay, this is a weaker version. It'll be where we can explore. It's not so much. Yeah. We had several in the Discord that mentioned that they were, stumped by it. And I was like, once I was in, because you lose your materials if you leave the game, before you kill a boss, you lose the materials you've collected until then. I don't know if you knew that, but, because if you collect the, I'm not going to remember all the terms of this stuff.
Metastasite Essentia, which I'll talk about more later.
If you collect it, it's white. You don't get it. It doesn't turn green until you defeat that boss in that world. So, good.
Yeah. And the activity I really like also, as far as playing my life. I've always played my life in the game. People keep saying like we need a lot of changes in the game to make it interesting. And I feel like they finally have changed a fair amount of things. Roguelike light and upgrades and resources and things and especially on the match made one with 18 revives total between the team. And people don't just go running in like normal, like play your life a little bit, and you'll die maybe once or twice total on the match made one, if at all. It'll be super easy. Life is not an issue. Plus there's wells all over to pick up life and stuff. Now, yes, on the healing abilities things, that seems to be somewhat bugged, and Bungie says they're going to be tuning that next week.
I was just going to mention that. Yeah, they said that they're good. And I knew they were going to tune it. I knew they would, because I was not seeing. Well, they're
not tuning the life thing though. They're keeping that the same.
Yeah,
just tuning
correction. They're not taking it away, but they're going to tune it where you get more health. Because my God, man, I'd have to, in order to get my health from half back to full, I'd have to sit behind somewhere and just pot shot stuff with my Red Death, and then I'd have 3/4 health. That's how many things I had to kill to get
Well, you know why though? Because there's 300% more total health in general. So if that makes sense. Like if things were normally would fill up a half of your bar would only fill up maybe an eighth now because of the total amount of health.
That's the thing though. It was definitely broken because it was moving just like the smallest little bump. I mean, just like it didn't even register. It was definitely bugged. Something has to be bugged, or they meant to give you a little more health than what was it was intended to give you more health. And I pick up an orb. I pick anything I tried to pick up to get health. I got just like a smid. I mean, just the smallest, like it didn't even matter because a boss would knock out like almost, 10 times that much.
You have to remember that bar is not the same bar as before. So there's like, that bar was like 30 total before. Now it's like 300 total.
Yeah. Okay.
But I think the health thing, people, you do not need to worry about it at all, even before they tune it. It is not a hard activity, especially in match made with 18 revives and everything. Yeah. If you're getting a little bit low, you can die. It's fine. Or even if you don't want to die, back away. Most of the encounters, other than the Tormentor, you can go around a corner, hide if you need, look for some more wells, bring your health back up. Just think of it as like a different way to play. You're actually being strategic. Your health is a resource too, not just your ammo. Your health is a resource.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying they should always do this, but I am having a load of fun with this so far. Not just because of that, but I think the activity in general is really cool. I am so impressed. Again, like I thought they said there was only going to be 3 zones when they were talking about it. Maybe they wanted to keep something a surprise, but when I started doing it more and more, I finally found the 4th zone. The 4th one for me, I mean, it's random if you go into the match made one, but on how it lays out. But I kept getting, you have the Hull Breach area, which they call the, I forget that name, Trenchway or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Trenchway.
And then that's where the boss of the Tormentor is. Right. And then they have the Hall of Souls, which is the Court of Oryx area.
Yep.
And that boss is the Subjugator in the Court of Oryx area.
That's the only place I didn't play is the Hall of Souls. I know it's the old...
oh, you've never played that one yet?
I don't think so. I only played it one time. And then I took 90 minutes. And I was like, ooh, yeah, I'm done for the night. Geez. Yeah.
Let's hop back in Matchmate sometime. You'll have a fun time with me.
I would actually, person. Before the show tonight, I was going to see if I could find 2 others that wanted to jump in and just so I could experience it. But I just didn't have time. I was working till...
A good experience.
Dark.
And then another zone is the Mausoleum.
Yep.
And that is the big ogre boss down below. You jump down for that boss. And then the last zone, and again, this is no particular order because it's random, is the Founts area, which when that opened up, I was really excited because I love that area. And that is the Taken Meatball boss for that area.
Yep. The only thing I hate about the Taken Meatball is you had to expose yourself to get to him because he was so high in the air and his bullets, his traveling globules or whatever would travel far and find you. And it was in that and the Blight captains or the Blight, whatever lieutenants or whatever that were throwing blights at you at the same time that followed you everywhere. It seemed that was a tough one because I had to literally just take a bunch of hit. I just had to take a hit and get some of my health knocked out just to get, my machine gun on the boss. So that was the hardest one of all of them, I thought. Yeah.
Definitely solo. That one and the Tormentor are both hard solo.
Okay.
But, I've had so much fun with this so far. And there's rumors that a strike from the Dreadnaught's going to be coming back. I'm not going to say which one because it may be a rumor anyways, and not true. There's rumors that more zones are going to open up. So many secrets and little collectibles and new little rooms to go in. And this really has the feel of the Dreadnought originally from Destiny 1 as best as they could with all the Destiny 2 abilities and secrets and things to find. And you can just run around for like hours and get lost and find little chests and things and worms to pick up and lore pieces. And Sin and I were, jumping up in the Trenchway area in that big hallway where there's like a chasm in between. Mm-hmm. And up on the one side, like really high up, and some geometry that's hard to get up there, but eventually there's like a little hole, a room like really high up. And we didn't figure out what it does because it just kind of went in a U shape and came out through another hole. Right. And then there was like some platforms to stand on, but we didn't see what to do after that. There was like nowhere really obvious that it led. Right. But again, I'm excited about all this because it's okay to not know all the secrets yet and all the things and just keep going back in and exploring more and more. I've been having really fun.
I love how long the story steps are. And, I even though you get through all the steps, I guess there's weekly reset stuff, right? There's stuff they're going to throw at you. Yeah.
There does seem to be. And that's interesting too, because, they kind of originally told us the majority of this activity stuff will be released on day one, but there will be weekly reasons to come back for different weapons and stuff. But if you look on Braytech or in the API, you can kind of see, you don't see like totally spoilerish what the rest of the quest steps are, but you see some basic details. Looks like it'll only be going for about 3-ish weeks from what I can tell, which is odd. And then also it's odd because it looks like, yes, there'll be reasons to go back in the Nether and get different versions of the weapons. However, it does look like, remember afterwards how on the week 1, we went to the Dreaming City after did that little sub ending mission.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like there will be other sub missions on weeks 2 and 3 also, from what I could guess.
Oh yeah. The, Taken experience. Yeah. I didn't really know what that meant, but I guess it's going to mean something later. Yeah.
It seems
and the
like
eyeballs,
powers
the eyeballs
taken from Sloan, right?
Yeah. Yeah. You learn Taken from Sloan. That's for sure. And then the eyeballs would lock onto you and you're like, whoa, what the hell's going on? Why am I getting more Taken? And
those are cool looking. They remind me of like the big eye from like Lord of the Rings, on the top of the tower.
Yeah. They freak me out. I was like, what the hell? I'm going over the hill. I'm like, all these eyeballs moving side to side. I'm like, oh. Yeah. That was pretty cool. That was pretty cool. And yes, they are using some of the existing, the existing worlds out there, but it's all new. It's an all new adventure. I was thoroughly impressed, and I'm only on step 9, I think. I think I've got to go get I'm at the step where I have to get my Tome of Want. I need to get to level 3 on Eris. And that's another thing.
Yeah.
The Eris, her apartment is where the seasonal vendor area is. That was pretty cool. And, there's some stuff in there, which I guess you'll give tips on that.
I'll have a lot on tips, but as far as where you can go in week 1, you can only go to step 11. So there's just a couple things after step 9.
Almost done.
But then you will get that side quest too, which basically all the side quest is doing is helping you learn about the Tome of Want, which I'll talk more about.
Man, I thought I did not expect all this extra stuff because there's so many systems, and what I just talked about. Destiny's got to put out more systems. They got to have more things for us to do in the game other than just run the story and go, well, what do I do now? I guess I'm gonna go play Crucible. But no, there's all kinds of stuff to do. I'm loving it. I'm loving it so far. So wait a minute, there weren't 17 steps? So you're saying
there's lots of steps. There's 21 total, but you can only go up to step 11 this
week. So there
week.
Is at least a couple weeks, you said, you think there'll be some kind of added stuff.
Yeah, 2 to 3 weeks from what I can guess.
I like that. It's the way it should be. Yeah.
I guess. But then still, if an act is, well, this first one's only going to be 5 weeks long?
Yeah.
So that's not too bad, but
yeah.
Yeah. Well, either way, the thing that people always get mixed up on is the time gating versus not time gating, but I always see the bigger picture, and it's the amount of total content. And no matter how they pace this one out, steps or not, there's less running around from vendor and holo projectors, and the actual content is a lot more.
It's meaningful.
Even if you don't like the Nether, I guarantee the amount of content is way more.
Yes.
There, just all the amounts, places you can explore, the secrets you can find, how many times you can run the activity with different variations. It's a pretty good amount of content. And then again, the opening mission and the submissions too, all that together just for Act 1. And then we haven't even got to Act 2 or 3. And of course, Dungeon also on Friday is coming out.
We'll talk about that. Yeah. We'll talk about that in the swab. Yeah. And another thing too, I noticed Bungie usually when they make big changes for the next, like before Final Shape, or was it? I'm trying to remember, but they always seem to throw things in the game that are testing what's coming up in the next expansion. I noticed a lot of exploring, a lot of hidden areas, a lot of little secretive places to go. And what did they mention in Frontiers? There's going to be a lot of puzzles, a lot of secret areas to explore. So maybe they're kind of testing the waters to see how we like these little secret objectives and stuff built into the Dreadnaught. I'm excited. I love it. Yeah.
But they're also testing roguelike stuff. So hopefully you'll like that going into Frontiers if they keep things like health resources and stuff.
And I had a question about that, and this might be in your tips, but I'm going to ask it anyway now because it's toward the end.
Go for it.
Those, when you defeat one of the intermediate bosses, not the main boss, but the intermediate bosses, and they leave a little boon for you, do those stack or do you swap those out? Like if I picked up like several boons along the way. Are those cumulative or is it just for that area?
I definitely will talk more details, but I can still answer it now. The minor small ones that you pick up out and about, they stack. Pick up all of them.
Okay.
The major boons, which is after an encounter or a boss, those are 3 to pick from. You just pick one of them.
Okay.
And you get to keep it, but you only get to pick one.
I got you. Yeah, the major ones are the ones that you have 3 to pick from, right? Those are considered the major boons. And then the minor boons, you only have one thing to pick from, and that's after you defeat the yellow bar. Got it. Okay.
Well, no, kind of. Minor boons can be all over the place for various reasons.
Yeah.
They can come from defeating yellow bars. They can come from chests, actually. They can come from
that's right.
Witches that appear. They can come from sub-bosses. They have lots of other places they can show up, not just it doesn't even matter. Just whenever you see the minor ones, and they are a little bit harder to miss because they're really small and you got to get closer up to them, but pick up every single minor one. They stack. There's ways to make them stack even more with different upgrades. Just pick up everything you can. You won't go wrong. And then of course the major will only let you pick up one per major grouping. I've
always liked the roguelite stuff and, roguelike stuff. And, I liked it. I liked it in the past seasons when they had those, Season of the Deep, and then the other one was Whisper. The one there was the activity that was roguelike in, the Dreaming City.
But roguelike can also mean health though, too. Attrition. Yes. That's also a thing that roguelike games sometimes have. So
I'm just not a fan of attrition. I'd rather, the problem is you have a lot of people who like to go in there and just like, slam, bam, shoot, kill, bust up everything and leave the room, brushing their shoulders off. But it's the kind of thing now where you have to be strategic. And that's the way I've always played. I've always played my life. Anytime it's Crucible or if it's, in PvE, and I've always played my life, and it fits my style well. But my God, man, definitely don't play it solo because it is a nightmare to run.
Unless you want a challenge.
Well, of course. And it was challenging. Don't get me wrong. When I was done, when I finally killed that final boss, I was like, my God, man. And his little, void, frisbees he throws at you, those things curve around like almost 90 degrees. It's ridiculous. I couldn't escape the guy. But, what I kept doing is I was playing peekaboo around a pillar, and I would just keep throwing turrets and freezing them, and then throwing, then I would of course stomp down and throw my solar mortars at him at the same time. And eventually I just kept weakening him down and take my shots where I could. But, it was a lot of fun, man. So do we want to get into tips next, or is there something else you want to mention?
Sounds great.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be
good for now.
We'll be right back, and we will get into some tips and things that can help you get through the Nether.
Hey, thanks for listening to Guardian Downcast. There are several ways you can contact us. First, you can find us on X at Guardian Downcast. Or you can find us on our Instagram at Guardian Downcast and see what pics and reels ToddtheGatr and his podcast guests want to share with you guys. We have a brand new website too. Just visit guardiandowncast.com, where you can find all of our contact info, leave us a voicemail, give our show a rating or review, search for any past episodes, or even give back to our community. Also, don't forget to sign up for future updates to the show, where we'll also have random drawings throughout the year, and you may win a gift card or even some GDC merch. And finally, you can send us an email at guardiandowncast@gmail.com. Our community thrives on interaction, so get involved and check us out.
All right, before we get to the TWAB tonight, Kingsley, you had some tips and tricks for people who are trying to make their way through the Nether. The floor is yours, man.
Yeah, this is going to be a partial of that, also partial of kind of these different resources and basically what we're doing this whole act so far. And in no ways is this everything. It's just what I've learned so far, which I feel is pretty conclusive. And then, of course, I watched a couple videos, and you can watch Aster Cross. His is great. I also really recommend Ebontis has a really good video, which I think is even better, kind of describing what all the things mean. So the first tip, which I already kind of mentioned, but again, and I think it's super important, unless you want more of a challenge, I really think, especially when you're on that step 7, go through the match made one first. It helps you get a better feel for the activity. You can kind of see your teammates can kind of show you how you're supposed to work on certain, mechanics for doing different encounters. I mean, if you really want the challenge and figure it all on yourself, run it solo the first time. But I feel like most people, at least the people that were complaining in the Discord, are having a hard time. Sorry, complaining is not the right word.
Yeah.
Where they could have had a better experience if they did the match-made version first. So highly recommend that. Also, use ghost mods. Wombo detector is very, very important, especially with all the chests you're finding in the Nether on the Dreadnought.
Yep. 75.
Not only the Wombo
75 meters.
Yeah. Well, I just do the 50 and I'm fine with that. Okay. But any Wombo detector, I mean, yeah, you should probably do 50 or 75, but even the 50 is pretty good. And also, they have the ghost mods that can give you buffs on the minor boon chances.
Check that out too. Those are called fragile mods, and I think the only way you can get them is from a chest, right, Kingsley? The fragile mods?
I believe so, but start checking out your ghost. You may already have some, or if you've run the Nether once or whatever. And they're definitely fragile mods, so they will go away at the end of the episode.
Okay.
But you can put them on, and it gives you, again, increased chances for different minor boons. So at least I would say put on the combo detector, and definitely consider also putting on the fragile ghost mods for the minor boon upgrades.
Yeah, and
all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'd read somewhere or heard something about the ghost fragile mod. So that was my question: is do they only last a certain amount of time, like potions? Which I hate that crap. So it's good for the whole season once you get them. Good to know.
Oh yeah. There's multiple ones, and you can't do them all, of course. So you got to decide which.
But that's pretty
minor
cool.
boon upgrade you want.
You can focus what boons you're hoping to get. It's not perfect chance, but it's a better chance to get those boons that you do like to get through. So I like that you can focus that. That's cool. Yep.
Oh, there's a lot of focusing things you can do. Wait till I get to the weapons and armor.
Yep.
But yeah, I think they did a really good job this season, as best as you can do for not being craftable. I'll get to more of that in a second. But I already kind of went over the minor and the major boons. But again, the minor ones, they're like those smaller black orbs. They may seem like they're closer to the ground, but a lot of times they'll be just eye level or a little bit above you. And you just got to get really close up to it and interact with it and pick up every single one you see. They don't override the other ones. They stack if it's even some of the same ones. Pick up all the minor boons. The major boons are the slightly larger ones that you only pick up one of the 3 at the end of an encounter.
Okay.
Okay. As far as stuff you pick up around there's chests everywhere. There's stuff in the chests like weapons, armor, resources, materials. There's also these, I call them taking spiky balls. Some people call them sea urchins. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're showing.
They're called metastasized essentia, and they are throughout the Nether, throughout the Dreadnought. Pick up all those as soon as you see them, because how they work is they, like Todd was saying, they are the white colorization at first in your inventory, and then you get to keep them, and they upgrade to green if you complete an encounter. If not, you lose them, although there's an upgrade later where you don't lose as much, supposedly. But basically just pick them up as soon as you see them. You don't want to be picking them up like after the encounter, because then you don't get to upgrade them for that encounter. So definitely pick them up as you go along.
Hey, before we get to the next tip,
yeah.
I forgot to mention this in our initial impressions, but what did you think of the weapons? I got all the weapons, by the way. I got that triumph done. What do you think of the weapons? Do you have any favorites?
Well, yeah, so far I've been loving the Lodestar exotic trace rifle.
Beat me to it. Damn it. I was going to talk about it.
Tell me what you think.
Well, you remember I saw the developer live stream. I was like, man, that thing doesn't look like it's doing much damage, but man, I'm loving this thing. The thralls come at you, just hip fire it, just melt them.
It's not bad on damage.
It's not bad.
Good.
It's not bad. And even the 3 burst, when you aim down the sight, I was knocking yellow bars down pretty quick. So I'm loving that gun. It's on my hip. So I'm loving that one. Yeah.
I love it. I haven't even tried the other weapons because I want to try the Psycho Pump or whatever. Sorry, what's that name for that?
Psycho Pump.
Area of Denial.
Yeah, I got 2 of them, but I haven't played with them yet. Let me see what
I haven't tried them yet either because I've been loving Lodestar so much.
Let's see. I'm going to pull up my 2 that I did get here. Psycho Pump. It's kinetic, right?
Sin was running with that the other day and he was like, whoa, what's all this? I'm like, dude, I'm telling you, it's pretty cool. Like, and the Archy spike things, they go up pretty high too. Not that necessarily matters. Like
and
maybe enemies in the air or something. But
what was the does anybody know the roles that everyone's going for the Psycho Pump? Because I got a couple of roles. I don't know if they're any good though.
Yeah. That'll be even, I mean, not that we shouldn't talk about it today, but I do want to in a future week, kind of talk about, we can talk more about weapons when we've had more experience and maybe good roles and things like that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Cause I just haven't had the time personally. I've been having so much fun with just what I have. I haven't tried the new Aspect yet. Batman was running it and said it's really good. In fact, Geomags on Warlock is a lot of fun right now. They they buffed that. Okay. I've just been having so much fun with just what I already have. Cause I like to I don't like to try too many things at once. Cause I really like to, I'm a sensing person. You know, what that means is I like to experience things really fully. Like when I go to concerts and stuff, I don't like to take pictures cause it takes me out of the experience.
Yeah.
So I don't want to be trying like Sin or some other players I play with, they're all over the place. Like, oh, I'm going to try this weapon now. Oh, I missed something over here because I was trying something else. Like, no, I just kind of like to focus on what I'm doing for a moment. And then I'll try some of these new weapons soon enough. Yeah. Plus that way I'll have plenty to look forward to coming back and doing.
Eddy Current and Unrelenting. And I heard Unrelenting is working really well in the activity. So maybe I'll try this next time we run. And I've got,
and JD says the guns have a high drop rate. Oh my gosh, if you are doing the Tomb of Want and if you are playing the match made version, I'm telling you, Todd, we always say like loot is raining, but loot is raining now.
It is.
With, well, you haven't even done the match made ones yet in the Tomb of Want.
I ran my 90-minute run, my exploration run. Now keep in mind, I did a lot of side missions too, but, I already got the Triumph, and I got all the weapons for Act 1 already. The machine gun, I haven't tried the machine gun yet, but I did get a few of those. Rolling Storm's a new perk. It looks interesting. An Overflow. I got another one with, Elemental Honing. That's another new perk, and Eddy Current. So and it's Arc too. So I'm looking forward to seeing what those will do. And, just going through my support frame rifle, that's the one thing I got a lot of, Kingsley. Is the adamantite.
Yeah.
Circle of Life Reciprocity. I like this because not only can you heal other people, but you can heal yourself too. So this might be something to think about as well, going into, some more runs of it. But I got a lot of the adamantites that I seem to be the one rifle I was getting a lot of. So I'm showing on screen my drops here so people can see my rolls. But,
Also with the weapons, the Adepts seem to they're only going to drop in I think the harder version of the mission. Correct me if I'm wrong, anyone. But what people are noticing is there's different versions. There's also shiny versions of each. Now that's not technically shiny versions, but it does have that gold bar around it, which you can get even in the normal version.
I did get one.
I've gotten 5 or 6 so far.
Really?
And well, again, if you start doing the Tome of Want and the match made, loot will drop down from the heavens. But
I'm working on that.
What these basically quote shiny ones are is they are masterworked and they have double perks on all the columns. Okay. So, just a better version of more chances you can get what you want.
I meant to ask you too. I'm sorry, I'm jumping all over here. That's my ADHD brain. I got to just think about it when I'm thinking about it. Have you seen the new exotic submachine gun yet?
No, I was reading or hearing something about that today or yesterday. Does anyone have it? It may be.
Anybody
we don't know how we get it yet.
Yeah.
It may be coming out later.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe it's something they just tease us with, but, I was looking forward to using that. And I'm not even a big submachine gun guy, but, I haven't seen it yet. I did get the linear fusion too. I already used it for power because I've already got some really good linear fusions already. So, it's a thing we got. Oh no, here's one. the Eyes Unveiled Discord and Triple Tap. That's not the greatest roll, but yeah, I mean, I've gotten, that one run, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 to 12 weapons from the season just in one run. Now, granted, like I said, I did side missions. I did extra stuff too, but yeah, that's pretty nuts, man. That's a lot of, I mean, it's a looter shooter, right? We should be getting a lot of guns like how Borderlands just throws guns at you. It should be the same way with this game. All right. I'm off my pulpit. One other thing I want to mention too, because someone in the chat mentioned it here. The Star Wars armor. Did you buy it?
No, not yet. Because again, I am going to buy it probably really soon, but I just felt like it would be too much at once for me. Like I like to kind of space things out a little bit. I'm
considered one of those whales by Bungie. If I see something I want, I just buy the silver and get it. And I'm
going to buy it.
It gave me pause, $20 per character. That gave me pause. I had to think about it. And I'm probably going to get it, but it just, some of the people, like Jimmy said, I think that not giving, any gameplay to support the $60 for all 3 armors is a fail on Bungie's side. I thought that was a little exorbitant, but here's the thing. Disney's got to get their piece. There's probably a minimal amount that they would need to get probably in whatever licensing agreement they drew up with, like I said, I'm probably going to get it, but when I saw it was 2,000 silver for one complete outfit, it just gave me pause. I haven't bought it yet.
Is that not normal? Is it usually cheaper for a complete
usually
outfit?
A lot cheaper. Yeah, it's usually $15. Really? $15 seems to be kind of my ceiling for buying anything, really. And right. Here's the thing. Have you seen the emote package they have? The Star Wars emotes?
I haven't looked at that yet.
$37. $37.
Well, how many are there?
3. There's 3 of them. $37, and they're all badass.
That does seem.
I mean,
that does seem worse than the armor to me.
One is a lightsaber fight that you can have with your teammate, and it's really well done. The other one was when when Luke Skywalker put the blast shield over his eyes, and he had the little droid bot flying around he was training with. That's another one. And then the third one is, I'm trying to remember what it was, but I mean, they all are very impressive, but $37 or $15 each. I don't know. That's, I don't know.
Yeah.
That just seemed pricey to me.
That does seem pricey to me also.
It gave me pause. That's all I'm saying. And some people have mentioned that the Star Wars, gear was really, really pricey. And, anyway, I'm usually one, if I love it, I want to play it in the game, I'll just get it. Or I'll save up the silver to get it, but there was no choice on this. And it gave me pause. So I imagine there's a lot of people out there that are like, I don't know. Anyway.
All right.
That's all I had.
Back to tips?
Get back to tips. Sorry.
All right.
I meant to mention that in the beginning and
I know.
I
It's
forgot.
fine.
Yep.
There's a lot when new stuff comes out, right? So yeah. Okay. Tips. We talked about the ghost mods, the boons.
Yes.
I was starting on the metastasized essentia, those large taken spiky balls. Now, what you want to do with those also when you have them fully earned, when they're green, is you turn them in at the apartment. And it's not the big vendor podium to the right. It's a smaller podium near the desk against another wall. A lot of people might miss it at first, but you want to turn them in because they're like in previous seasons when you turn in like the fish or you turn in the extra materials and then you put them into a little receptacle and you get stuff in return. Mm-hmm. And what you get in return is they will give weapons and rewards, but also they give Essence of Desire, which you really need those, and I'll explain those next. Okay? I
was going to blurt it out, but I'll
Essence of Essence of Desire, they're in your inventory, and you get them, you can get them a little bit. I think like the quest step kind of gives you a couple to begin with, or
I got 2.
You may be able to get them other places, but the main way you're going to be getting them going forward, from what I can tell, is you turn in your metastasized essentia at the podium, and then you get Essence of Desire. Essence of Desires, they look like a smooth round taken ball in your inventory. Mm-hmm. And they are basically used to charge your Tomb of Want, which is your focuser, and I'll get to that in a second too.
Yeah, Kings, I was curious, what is the Tomb of Want?
Well, Okay, I'll do that next, and then I'll talk about this lab left.
Because I'm working on I'm trying to work on getting it. I'm almost at level 3, and I'm trying to get it too. I did a little research, but please, if you would explain what that means, what that does.
Well, the Tomb of Wan is basically your focuser. It's the way that you can focus and get drops of either seasonal weapons, reprised weapons, or even focus it more down to a type of weapon like an auto rifle or a fusion or whatever. And in fact, you can even focus materials if you want. So basically what the Tomb of Wan is it has a couple areas in it. First, it has like a top area, which isn't so much the focuser, but that's just like little buffs you can put on artifact perks that make your artifact perks a little stronger. There only seems to be one that everyone has so far, but we'll open up more of those. Yeah. But more importantly, down below, there's like 3 slots, a left, a middle, and a right. Mm-hmm. And you always want to do at least the left one. And what you do there is you pick a blue, and they call them scriptures, but they look like tablets. But you pick one that you want, and they have everything from like seasonal weapons, seasonal armor, reprised weapons. There's several different things you can pick from. And when you pick that in the slot, you don't have to have something in the second slot. I'll get to the second slot in a second. And then on the third slot, you basically have 2 options, on or off. So when you turn it on, to turn it on, you have to use some of those things I was talking about, the Essence of Desire. And then when you turn it on, this system works really well. It's way better than the tonics.
Yes.
How it works is it's just working in the background for an unlimited amount of time for 3 charges. Unless it's the materials, you only get 1 there. But basically, you can go into almost any activity and just kill things. And then you can check the progress. If you go back into your inventory and look at the Tome of Want, we'll have a progress bar going across to kind of give you. Once it gets to 100%, it drops one of the things that you were focusing on. So let's say you focused on seasonal weapon. It'll drop you a seasonal weapon. It's not even at the end of the activity. It's just when it gets to 100%, it'll drop that. What's more is it tells you it has 3 total charges. So it'll drop that. It'll start over again. It'll tell you now it has 2 charges left. It'll drop another piece. And then last on the third one. And then basically that scripture is used up. And then if you want to run it again, you slot another blue scripture in there, charge it up again on the right side, and there you go.
And where do you get the blue scriptures again?
All the scriptures seem to have just been there. You don't get them. You just charge them up by the Essence of Desire.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Or they gave them to you in that quest step. There's like a side quest that tells you how to use the Tome of Want.
That's right.
But you don't earn those. You do earn the yellow exotic one, and I'll get to that in a second.
Okay.
But the other ones are just basically there. I think the purple ones you earn, and then the yellow ones you earn, you use once, and if you don't have more, you got to earn more. But the blue ones are like always available because it's like other focusing from other seasons. As long as you have the main material to focus, it's not like, oh, you focused too many times, you can't focus anymore. You can focus on a limited amount of times as long as you have the materials.
Okay. Which
again is the Essence of Desire.
That's going to be the sticking point.
Yeah. And Essence of Desire comes from metastasized essentia. It may come other ways, but that's like the main way it comes from by turning those in.
By the way, the black ball thing, what's that currency? Man, I'm never going to remember all these terms.
That is the essence. That is the, for the
tome. I think it's for the tome.
Yeah, I was just saying it. Essence of Desire. Yeah.
That's the Essence of Desire, the black taken ball?
Yeah.
You will get
smooth one.
Those do drop in the season pass, the battle pass as well. Just want to mention that.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
2 at a time.
But I don't think they drop out in activities. I think they're only going to be from turning in metastasized essentia, the spiky ones, or maybe like the season pass things, like you said.
So the only way to get that is to go to the apartment and turn it in at the little fountain thing to the left there.
Yes. Okay. Turn in the spiky ones, and then you get the smooth ones. That's the Desire.
Good to know.
All right. That middle slot real quick. That is another thing you want to do. Like you can do the purple upgrades, the yellow exotic ones, you can like focus an Ascendant shard or a Ascendant alloy or an exotic weapon. So that's pretty cool right there.
Okay.
And, yeah, so I just think if I was doing a bunch of this because that side quest step, it walks you through blue and then purple and then yellow. But then after you do all that, it's like 15 total. And I was like at 8 or something. And so I was just running the Nether a bunch with Sin last night and just focusing again and again and again with my Tome of Want. And it goes pretty quick. Like one full run of Nether, you can focus 1.5 times or so, something like that. I feel like. Okay. Which is like 4 drops of stuff. And you just got to keep looking in your inventory, see what percentage it's at, and if it's used up, and then you can focus it again if you want.
Yeah. It's
all right. Any other questions on the Tome of Want?
It's like a mini game inside the regular game. Yeah. It's just,
well, yeah, it's like a good focusing type thing. And I like how they do it. You don't have to go back to the vendor to focus. You can focus out and about and it'll just run. It seems like it's visually pleasing enough. It just seems it makes more sense than the freaking tonics do. Now the tonics still work, by the way, and some people are saying you should still use them if you care to get extra protections and whatever.
Someone said you could double up on them, maybe. Yeah. 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 I don't even have this yet. So yeah, this is news to me, but I kind of get the gist of what you're talking about. Yeah. Okay.
All right. And then JD Kent says, and this is good to know, he thinks Essence of Desire will fall also at the end of a Nightfall run. So yeah, it's definitely possible they come other ways too. Okay. I just know for sure if you turn in the Metastasized Essentia at the apartment, that's a good way to get them.
Okay.
All right.
But there's something else in the apartment too.
Oh yeah. Yep. Okay. That is the slab, or what's the full name? I
think it's the slab of, oh geez.
I'll beam down the apartment.
I don't have the game open. Chat. So, all I have are, images.
But that is basically your vendor.
Yep.
In essence.
And has, your just like Echoes, there's little toggable things in there, which Kingsley will talk about. Mm-hmm. I noticed those. Those are interesting.
And sorry, no bounties.
No bounties. No.
Yep. I think they did say, though, they were deprecating bounties for seasonal stuff. I don't know. I could have been wrong on that. But okay. Anyways, the slab, you go there for several different purposes. First, you just have a rank up system like any kind of vendor thing, and it tells you what number you're on. And every time you rank up, you get a reward. But also, as you rank up the levels down below, you can, when you get to the certain levels, there's the things you can pick up. And in fact, kind of odd they did it this way, but you can't even get your Tome of Want until you're at level 3. So if people are saying like, well, how do I get my Tome of Want? Just check the slab. It's called, I'm going there right now. It's called the full name, the Shaping Slab. That's what it's called.
I'm going to be so, never mind.
Don't worry about the names. It's the seasonal vendor. Let's just call it that. And you get rank rewards at the bottom. So like level 3, you get the Tome of Want. Level 4 or 5, I forget what this was. You get one of those weapon mods that are also fragile. You get different things there.
Yeah, and
I guess we'll talk about weapons for a second.
Yeah, and I had a question because this is a question I had. I said, okay, I need to get to level 3 to get Tome of Want. So how do I move up the level for Eris? You got to run the Nether.
You just
run the Nether.
Just run the Nether.
Run the Nether. Yep.
It says complete selections of the Nether and defeat bosses. I'm sorry, I moved my camera here. I was looking at something. So sorry about that.
All good, man. All good.
All right, hold on. All right. Okay, so that fragile weapon mod, by the way, you can only use these. I know it was already mentioned, but you can only use them on the seasonal and the reprised weapons. So I had forgotten that, and I tried to use this fragile weapon mod that I got called Power of Resolve. Like, how come I can't use it? I'm like, oh yeah, you can only use it on seasonal ones. Also, the seasonal armor, it's that same issue again. They've had this forever where the seasonal armor also has some extra powers you can use to help protect you and have buffs. But why no one wants to use it? Because they're all dropping super low. Like I'm getting 40s and 50s at best. This has been a consistent problem. Yeah, I know they'll probably have better drops on the expert version, but come on, at least give us like 50s to low 60s on the normal version or something, or else why are we ever going to want to use the seasonal armor if we don't have good stat rolls on them.
You can narrow down anything I play in Destiny to one thing. What am I getting to do it? It's a looter shooter. What loot am I getting to do it? So it's got to be worthwhile loot. So yeah.
Yeah, and it needs to have variation, because if everything is good every single time, then nothing will be good.
Well,
but the problem here is nothing is good on the armor. They're all low drops. If they can just bring that average up some, where you're happy if you get like a 64 or 65, but like on average it's like 60. And then even that I'd be happier with. But they can't be doing 40s and 50s for even the normal version. They got to be doing higher than that.
Yeah.
Anyways. So I don't think I'm going to be doing the seasonal armor, but we'll see. Maybe I'll get higher stats on it eventually.
Yeah.
All right. So back to the slab and the shaping slab. Mm-hmm. There are two areas in the middle, one called Runic Enhancement, one called Mysterium. I'll start with Runic Enhancement. Basically what those are is additional little upgrades of things that you can pick. Think of them as a permanent power-up, but they can be changed. You can only have certain ones on at a time. First, you have to earn them. You have to buy them, and you buy them with something called sigil shards. Now, these sigil shards look like little mini tablet things that they drop like crazy in the Nether. Do you think they drop other places too? I'm not sure.
I actually just got a mod. I got my first one in there. We're opening chest or getting the sea urchins. Will give you a chance of getting them as well from getting from farming resources in the Dreadnought. You can get a chance of getting them too.
Yeah. But they drop fairly often, even if you don't have any of the upgrades. Yeah,
I thought they did. I got my 150 pretty quick just from that first plan.
So sigil shards you can use to just buy these runic enhancement power ups. You earn them, and then you can turn them on or off. And how many you can turn on or off just basically depends on your rank level with the vendor and how powerful they are. On the left side of the bar, they're less powerful, and they only count as a level 1. In the middle, it's a level 2, and on the end, it's a level 3. And your level of what you can do is basically double half of what your season or your vendor level is. I'm at vendor level 6 right now. So I can do 3 power-ups. So I can do the last one, which I actually bought, Healing Rune, and that counts as a level 3. So I can do just that, or I can do a level 2 and a level 1, or I can do 3 level 1s. Because I have 3 total powers that I can do. If that sounds confusing, don't worry about it too much. Just keep playing the game. As you level up your season vendor bar more, you can have more of these active at the same time. Yeah. And remember, you have to earn them in the first place with the sigil shards. This is one thing that don't worry about too much, but as you just use it over time,
just play the activity.
It'll be pretty cool.
Play the activity. It'll all fall into place, I think.
Yep. The next level over, the Mysterium, these you just get from, they seem somewhat random. There may be a total amount of number, but I don't know what it is. But as you collect minor boons and major boons, you will eventually earn these. And there are blue and purple ones, and they look like a scroll with like a green
they're
thing
boosters,
around it.
Like boosters, right?
Yeah, they're boosters. Once you earn it, it's just there forever. It's another permanent thing. And basically, they're boosters for getting additional stack on the boons.
Those are
basically what it is.
Those are toggleable, right? You toggle those?
Nope. They're just
unlock.
on.
The unlock?
The ones I've earned are permanently on. I have check marks on them now.
So the more you play, the more boons you get. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's basically it's basically enhancing the boons to do even more, right? Is that what those are for?
It gets additional stacks, basically. Gotcha. So yes, they do more because as you get more stacks of those boons, they're more powerful. So like, let's say you go up to a minor healing boon or whatever, and it says 1. Mm-hmm. Well, if you have this upgrade in here, it'll actually give you 2 instead because you get an additional stack.
Just play the activity.
Mm-hmm.
They want you to play the activity. So it looks like everything ties into playing that activity. Now, granted, you're going to get some of these materials by playing Crucible and killing Guardians and that thing also, but the fastest way it looks like it's going to be, through the activity. Yep.
Yeah. Last tip, just have fun. Shoot all the urns. They're always worth shooting because they could have a healing well in them. They could have ammo in them. pick up everything you see, go to all the chests, look for the worms. There's these collectible worms. You can watch a video of where they are if you don't want to try to find them on your own. They will give you things. There's also big green symbols that look like the Witch Queen symbols that if you go up or near to them, they will do a voice line. Some lore comes up.
Oh, I didn't know that.
There's just tons of secrets all around. And I've also noticed on the match-made one, people don't really care. Maybe they're getting upset, but I assume not. But people don't care, even if you're exploring in the match-made one. I see people group off all the time because they're looking for things. A lot of times, like even this happened to me too, even on day one, but also in the Discord, McMaximo was saying that he did the match-made one, and Blueberry was taking him around, shooting him, showing him different little secrets and stuff.
That's good. That's the way it should be.
Even if that doesn't happen, it doesn't matter, because if someone wants to break off and run the activity without looking for secrets, they can do that on their own, and then it'll just basically be solo for them until the other two people meet up with them. Gotcha. Now, there are a few exceptions if you're going to another zone after a main boss. And if one person goes forward, that'll pull everyone forward to the next zone. But once you're in a zone, it's way better than a strike. You can just break off, do your thing for a bit, look for secrets. You want to help out when you can. It's not like you just want to explore for hours and not ever, kill the boss, or else the Blueberry might leave. But,
JD Ken had mentioned something in the chat here when we're talking about sigil shards. Yeah. And shout out to JD Ken. He became a fist bump patron this week. Thank you, sir. I wanted to give you a shout out live on that. And he says you can only carry 300 sigil shards. Say that 3 times fast. And you need 100 to apply to a taken scripture to the Tome of One. So my favorite things, of course, putting limits on resources. So get your 300 and use them, right? So. Yeah,
use them. Yeah, there's really nothing you need to worry about not using. Maybe Essence of Desire if you don't want to always be focusing something, but all the other things, turn in your spiky balls, this, Masticized Essentia, and then also turn in your sigil shards to buy these, because, that 300 limit won't even be an issue, because there's only how many here you have to get. So couple of weeks, even if you're moderately playing, you'll have them all unlocked. Okay. And then you can it's the Essence of Desire in the long run that you'll
play the game,
keep building up.
Yep. Just play the game.
All right. I think those are most of my tips. I've had a lot of fun researching this, playing it so far. Yeah.
Thank you for that, Kingsley, because I haven't gotten to that part yet. And I was curious myself on some of that stuff. Nobody knows about the machine gun yet. The collectible worms, I did collect some of them, but I think there's 8 of them. Let's see.
There seems to be 4 sets, so 8 total.
They're going to rotate.
And it only seems like people know where 3 of the sets are so far.
So they're going to be like several last seasons where they'll have different sets depending on the week.
Potentially. I don't know why there's 3 this week and 2 that aren't. So, but, 1 that isn't, but, you can look up a video for those 3, or maybe there's just so hidden no one's found the 4th set yet. Gotcha. But, I really think it's probably time gated.
Well, thanks for explaining all that, Kingsley, because I needed to lean on you for that, because my boss, like I said, was a total prick this week. Wouldn't let me really play as much as I wanted to. So,
being a Taken Tot, this brings back the memories too. And I just love, I started on Dreadnaught. Well, I mean, I ran through the vanilla campaign first and Destiny 1, admittedly, but when I got to Taken King and knowing that was had just come out a few months before, and how much better it was, then obviously for Destiny 1, hands down, Taken King is the best expansion.
Yeah.
And so I just had so much fun exploring the Dreadnaught, and all these feels are coming back again, and they've done a really good job with this.
I get those feels too, man. When I was going through all those secret passageways and stuff, I was like, I know where I'm going. I know this place very well. Yeah. I can't wait to jump in and do more. I'm really looking forward to it. And, my God, we haven't even talked about, Vault of Glass weapons are out now that are craftable. I still want to run some Garden of Salvation because I want to get some craftable. Those are my favorite weapons, my favorite raid weapons. I just love those weapons, and I want to get some more of those. And there's just going to be so much to do. It's going to be a lot of fun. We do have some questions from our community tonight, but before we do that, we do have a TWAB to talk about this week, and there's some important information in there. It's not going to be a real long TWAB, but I want to make sure I got that information out as soon as possible. So we'll do that right after this.
Hello, everybody. You are listening to Jealous Gaming on Guardian Downcast.
All right, this week in Destiny for February 6th, 2025. This week in Destiny, we're still recovering from the first contact on the Dreadnaught. It was a surprise for sure, and let's not focus on the pain right now, but on what else Heresy is bringing to the table this very week, namely a new dungeon dropping tomorrow. Here's what we've got this week. So, the first thing I want to mention is, they do have the trailer for Heresy. For those of you who haven't played it yet and want to check out the trailer, it's on Bungie.net, this week's, thing. We talked about the, In a Galaxy Far, Far Away, the special crossover collaboration. There is a trailer for that as well, for the new Star Wars, armor that they're offering at, Eververse. And like I said, it's 2,000 silver per character, per outfit. So, and the emotes are more important to me. I love emotes, especially when I'm raiding. I love to use the new emotes on people. And, $37 if you get all three of them at once. I don't know, man. That's a lot of money. So I understand completely why, because, it's a licensing deal. I wonder, what I'm curious? Fortnite does licensing stuff all the time. I wonder what their stuff cost, compared to Destiny stuff, because Fortnite, they're the king of, microtransactions, right? So even though their game's free to play, but anyway, I digress. The new dungeon tomorrow, only one more sleep until everyone can play our next dungeon, Sundered Doctrine. Well, it's actually coming out tomorrow night. Tomorrow actually,
it's at reset live. During the day.
Yeah, it's at reset on Friday. The best teams in the world will compete in our dungeon race and face our contest mode that will be available for 48 hours. We hope you have several builds ready, a tight-knitted fire team to endure the challenge, and at least 1995 power level to meet that cap for contest mode. If you don't worry. As soon as the first team clears the dungeon, the regular mode will be available. I like that they do that. I like that it's as soon as the race is over, everybody can jump in and play. I love that they do that. So, and there's a trailer for the Sundered Doctrine.
Better than before.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The Sundered Doctrine is the name of the dungeon coming out tomorrow, and they do have a trailer for it you can watch on Bungie.net. For those of you who prefer to sit and watch, we have more options for you than ever. As we announced last week, we will follow the official race coverage stream in partnership with CB Gray and Evan F. 1997 with the Dungeon Zone stream. We'll be following the action live on the day, and there are drops available, and I'm going to show you the drops. They're really cool. They show you the Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, if you want to follow on all those platforms for CB Gray or Evan F. Those who speak French, Italian, German, we have great news. We also have coverage in those languages. We have partnered with the international streamers to follow more teams than ever. You can watch them on the following channels. And yes, they will also have drops enabled. Check out their socials for more information about their live times. In French, we have Wise Thug and Merge One. In Italian, we have Masio. In German, we have Nexus Gaming or Nexos Gaming. The team that wins the dungeon race will be awarded the exclusive trophy. But here's the thing. They have several emblems that you can earn by watching the race tomorrow. The first one is called the Trigonic Amber Emblem. And we talked about this in previous. Looks like Mercury to me, man. Doesn't it look like Mercury?
It does. Yeah.
Ships looks really good.
I know.
The Glowing Dark Emblem. I think you have to watch the dungeon race for 2 hours to unlock this one. 2 hours. This one I want. I love see the shine in the middle of it. It's real. I like that. That's a beautiful ornament, beautiful emblem. And the Heretical, Halation Emblem. And this is if you gift or sub, to one of your favorite Destiny 2 streamers. And like I said, it looks really good too. Really beautiful. There is a disabled items list. And those of you who are running, the race tomorrow, and we're going to talk to someone who is next week in next week's show, by the way, there is a list right here you can click. I'm not going to click it here, but there's some disabled items on this list here. And let's face it, if you're running the race, you probably already know about that stuff. Some Bungie rewards available. We got a bunch of pins. I'm just going to scroll through these really quick. They have a cat emblem. called Knit One Per Two. It's included as a gift anytime you buy anything in the Bungie store. It looks really good. I like that. And of course, because it is the year of the snake for our Chinese New Year, there is a free emblem, and there is a link right here where you can click to redeem the code to get that emblem. Player support report. Anything anything we need to mention here, Kingsley? I'm looking through it really quick. There's some ornament issues. That's cosmetic. A dawning Bungie rewards.
We already talked about they're going to be buffing some healing stuff in the Nether.
Yep.
Just the healing though, not the health stuff.
They're gonna, the health bar, they said that, they're gonna increase it by 200%. I like that. I'll take anything. And right now it is miserable trying to get health. Even the wells just don't give you anything. It's just really terrible.
Well, they're going to increase the healing centric stuff by 200%, but they're not changing the overall idea of attrition of
No, it's still going to be 300. 300 health. Yep. We're looking to take a balance pass quickly and targeting a patch as early as next week to address these issues. Stay tuned for updates. So next week at reset, probably before reset, they'll probably have something out. Known issues list, another big list, bugs. So, in other words, shit's broken, y'all. Shit's broken.
Yeah.
So,
I'm trying to think if there's anything in here that's interesting to me. Not really.
It's I mean, if you, Nexus, okay, Jimmy. This, the artist of the week, really beautiful art by, Pain Thinsens via Twitter. Sorry if I mispronounced that. Movie of the week. It just tells you how to win it, stuff like that. And we are done here for today. Everyone ready for the Sunder Doctrine Dungeon? Yes, I am. I can't wait to watch it. Remember to have several builds for both survivability and DPS ready, and maybe spend some extra time trying to see what new artifact perks might come in handy. Contest mode is no joke. It isn't. I've run it. But it's totally worth it. And don't forget about fashion either. You want to look handsome on the screenshots when you take down your new mighty foes. You can do this, Guardians. Destiny 2 community team. Thank you, Destiny 2 community team, as always. Thank you for communicating with us this week. Always nice to hear from you guys. And, like I said, short and sweet twab, but I want to make sure we got that information this week in case you are deciding to run the dungeon. And, we have one more thing to do, Kingsley, and we'll call it a night. We have some questions from our community. We have a voicemail here we're going to play. So hang with us, folks. I'll be right back after my mandatory bathroom break. Hey Guardians, would you like to send a question for the show to us? There are 4 ways to do it. First, you can join our Discord server at discord.gg/Guardian Downcast. There's also a join link in our show notes down below. We have Guardians from all walks of life and all over the world, from new lights to day one players to hardcore gamers. There's also a channel labeled Podcast Questions where you can type in your question for the show. So come hang out with us. You can also email us with your question at guardiandowncast@gmail.com, or we also occasionally post about our upcoming show and guest, and you can respond there with your question at Guardian_D_cast is our X handle. Finally, you can send us a voicemail with your question at guardiandowncast.com, and we might play it on the podcast. Think of it as talking with us right on the show. Thanks for listening, and later, Guardian. All right, is that time of our show, boys and girls, where we answer questions from you guys. And I'm going to start off here with a voicemail we got last week, actually, from one of our GDC2 clanmates. And this is Moyu Monger. Here we go.
Hey guys, Moyu Monger here. I know one big topic of discussion has been RNG versus crafting. And personally, I'm one for RNG at first, but give it a season or two and then eventually make a crafting to be able to catch up. If I were to lean one way or the other, definitely just RNG. However, I would be a big proponent for focusing, similar to what we've seen in Onslaught as well as episode Revenant. Now, definitely don't make it for every activity. Definitely maybe just the ritual activities as well as the seasonal activities. But I just feel like it would make grinding more satisfying. It doesn't make it it doesn't take away the grind completely with how grinding does eventually, or how crafting does eventually, but I feel like sometimes you can get into a low point where you keep getting the gun or you don't get the gun at all, and it's just not the roll, and it just sucks grinding it forever and not getting anywhere. I feel like focusing makes it feel a little bit more satisfying and a little bit more productive. Anyway, I'd love to know your thoughts about it. Thank you.
Oh, that's a can of worms. Kingsley, I'll start with you, man. What do you think, man? Crafting versus
well, luckily what
RNG.
you're mentioning is kind of what we've talked about a little bit in the past and exactly what Bungie is doing right now. They've mentioned that they've deprecated crafting a little bit, and basically the plan right now is RNG, but crafting will backfill if you can't get something for a while. They haven't said exactly how that's going to look, but the idea is maybe a season later or whatever, then those weapons will be craftable if you just had really bad luck the first season. I 100% agree there should always be focusing added to RNG. Now, the way it was done last season, the Revenant, was horrible. That doesn't mean RNG is bad. It just means how they did the RNG was horrible. This episode, they're doing a really good job with it. The amount of loot that's dropping and how you can focus things pretty well. I don't think there's going to be any issues getting the rolls you want. But who knows? There might still be for some people. And then Bungie said they'll add crafting back in a subsequent season for weapons. So always RNG when they're new and then crafting later on. I like it that way too, but I know Todd probably feels different.
You guys know what I'm going to say. I've already said that they should make everything craftable. Give me a path. Let me know what I need to grind to get it, and I'll do it. If I need to get 10 weapon frames, I'll get the 10 weapon frames as I play the game. That's how you get players to, get engaged into the game. Now,
some players.
I understand.
No.
I understand some people want that surprise, pull the lever, get the slot machine going and getting that perfect roll that you want. But, it gets real frustrating when you've run 30 of them, of the activities, and you still haven't gotten the roll you want. And it can be discouraging, I think I would be okay with random rolls if, every time you didn't get what you wanted. I know I've said they should do this with exotics. Every time you don't get the exotic, like in a raid, there should be a much better chance next time. And then there should be after you run a certain fixed amount of the raid, then you just, an easy mission comes around. Just do it step by step and then they'll just give it to you. Because if you put that many runs in, I think you can do a little easy mission to get it done. I think you put your time in. And, there's still some raid exotics that I do not have from the Ron raid. I still don't have the shotgun, and I've run it I've run it double digit times. Still don't have it. So I just don't care. I just said, you know what? I'm not a shotgun user anyway, but it would have been nice to have, especially in a Crucible. But, I am not a fan of RNG unless it is somehow tailored to, and here's the thing, how do you tailor it? Because everybody wants different rolls on their weapons. So it's kind of hard to do that. I'm a believer in crafting everything. So I'm really going to die on that hill. I really am. Because, that weapon crafting to me, when they brought it in Witch Queen, was the best thing they could have ever done for this game. So, that's how I feel about it. It was
boring to me.
I know, but,
yeah.
and
boring.
Here's the thing. People think that weapon crafting isn't RNG, and that's bullshit. It is RNG because you still have to get those special weapon frames. And the only way you can get those is, guess what? RNG, unless.
No, it's not the only way.
Let me finish. Unless you've completed enough of the activity to unlock a node, like on Echoes, where you can get a free red bar every week. But it's still, if you need 5 red bars and you only have 1, that's still 5 weeks you have to stick through it to get your free one if you don't get it when you're playing the game. So I think it's,
in my experience, it's worse than RNG. I'm getting,
sometimes it can be.
All the drops I'm getting.
But here's the thing.
I'm getting all the drops. I bet I have all the god rolls I want already from the Nether.
But that's my point. That's my point. If you have weapon crafting open, you might still get that. I mean, there's a weapon that I wanted to craft and I ended up getting the god roll for it. And I was like, I'm not in a hurry to craft it now because I already got the god roll. But here's the thing. Sandbox is always changing, and what might be hot right now 2 or 3 seasons from now may be garbage. They may have nerfed it into the ground, which they always do. Seems if something's outlying and is too powerful, they tend to nerf it to the ground, and then people are looking for another one. If you got that weapon via RNG, guess what? You got to go back and farm it again to get the new rolls. But that eliminates that problem when you have a crafted weapon, and all you have to do is just go back and recraft the weapon and re-roll it for what you want. And you still have to play a lot. You have to get a lot of kills with it. You have to invest a lot of materials in it to get that weapon to that level that you want. So to me, it's apples and oranges. I think that weapon crafting, you can have both, but just having only RNG may get people to, I don't know. It just may get people to get dissuaded to continue playing. That's my 2 cents. So one thing you said is false right now, as far as like, if the roll that you have RNG is not good and then you want one later, because Bungie says what they'll do later now anyways is allow the crafting of it later. So at least right now, if the roll's not good that you had and you wanted another one, then by the time that's happening, then the craftable version will be available and you can do it that way. If they offer it at a later time.
Yeah.
It's not,
I mean,
we don't
that's
know
what they
for
said
sure.
they're doing. I mean, I guess they could go back on that, but,
But, Sweaty Spooks with the super chat. Thank you, sir. He says, I just submitted an application to the Armed Forces Reserve Unit, spoke to a recruiter, and I got the ball rolling in process. Seen y'all were live, so I thought I'd come by and hang out for a bit before I go to bed. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that super chat, man. That was really nice of you. Also, hello, Kingsley. Nice to see these wonderful faces. Wow.
Thanks. I just switched over to the YouTube. Yeah. Hi, Sweaty. I checked the Discord more, but yeah, I'm on the YouTube now. Nice to see you.
I have a face more for radio, so I'm
so
a little,
do I.
I'm not exactly made for YouTube. I'm not one of these younger 20-something faces, but if you guys can deal with it, I guess I'll keep doing it. So thank you, sir. Thanks, Sweaty Spooks, for that super chat, man. That was awesome. That was really nice. It made my night. Okay. We have some questions in our Discord, and I want to make sure we got to those. We had 4 questions, I believe, Destiny questions. And, okay. Our first question. Okay. It's a long one, so hang in there. This is from Barrel Barley 406. Hey guys, I really enjoy listening to the show. So I started out Destiny 2 with a Titan and played only Titan with no real interest in any of the other classes. When I found out about your podcast, you guys talked a bunch about the Warlock and the Nova Bomb, especially on how effective they are as a class. From hearing this, I started a Warlock build out of curiosity and was blown away with how much fun and different I had to play the game. That is true compared to the Titan, and how exciting it was, and has been to get all new and different armor. What could Bungie do to encourage us to play through as many different classes and play through as a different class to experience all that the game has to offer? Because I feel like I was missing out on so much gameplay, and unless I am ignorant to it, is there anything in the game that pushes you to play the other classes? If there is, I haven't seen much of it and probably won't have started a Warlock if I didn't hear you guys talk about it, about the other classes on the podcast. Love the show. Thanks. Thank you, Barrel Barley 406. Thank you for sending that to us. Appreciate you. What do you think, Kingsley? I don't think there's any other way they drive people, right? To begin with, right?
Well, actually, the main way is obvious. We're not mentioning it, but farming stuff. Well, it's not quite a farm, but like running an activity or raid on all 3 characters, you actually can get the stuff again. So that is the biggest reason too. Now, I know it's a boring reason for a lot of people. For me, it's not a reason to do it, but that is the biggest reason to run the other classes is you can go back into a raid, go back into a dungeon for that week, the activity, whatever, and get another drop. For things that aren't farmable, you only get 1 chance per week per character. But back on the main spirit of the question, and I only just bring that up in case you didn't know or someone listening didn't know that. But I agree. I mean, I had the same experience, even though I'm a Warlock main. When I first started moving to Hunter, I had a lot of fun. I'm like, wow, I'm missing out on all these fun play styles, invisibility, the dodge, the fact that Hunter jump, you can save yourself from a lot of things falling down that you can't on a Warlock. Like you go off of a ledge on a Hunter, you can jump. Somehow your feet have rocket boosters on them. You can go back up in the air. Where a Warlock, if you start to fall, you can't jump. You got to be on some ground to actually jump up.
It's magic.
it's magic. So I had a lot of fun, kind of like what you were saying going to Warlock. I had a lot of fun doing Hunter too. And
yeah,
I didn't have as much fun when I tried Titan, I hate to say, but, I do think the spirit of the question is good. Maybe they should have more to get us to try the different characters. And if you're ever bored with Destiny, and if you haven't tried the other characters, that's one big thing you can do.
Early on, I mean, I was all in on Destiny since 2014. And the first thing I did was play all three. And let me tell you, it really is like playing the game three different ways. You're encountering, everything. I mean, how you, defeat your, granted the guns are all the same, obviously. You can swap the guns between your characters, but the different subclasses and the different abilities you have are so different from character to character. Now, one thing I would like to see, and maybe Frontiers or something in the future, how about another character type? Maybe a scavenger. Maybe someone who supplies, I've mentioned this in the past, someone who is a support character that supplies heavy bricks and stuff in raids, or, you get all kinds of bonus, abilities when you throw stuff out to other people. I always love doing that in Battlefield. I love supplying I want to make sure my front line that we're shooting, I want to make sure they either were healthy and alive, being a medic, or throwing ammo crates like all the time, making sure people had them. So, yeah, I love playing all three. Obviously, we're a little biased. I mean, it's hard not to get excited when a big, Nova bomb is heading towards your enemies and a big group of enemies running at you, like, in the Nether. I used that a lot and it was very satisfying, but, nothing like a Superman Titan either that flies in and does major damage, especially if you have the right, chest piece on. It is, really cool. Yeah. Sergeant McCluskey. Hey buddy. He had all three and he said Titan was his main. I mean, everyone has different characteristics too. Like your hunter is very stealthy. They can go invisible everywhere. They throw knives, they're very sneaky. Titans are very much in your face. The very opposite. They like to punch stuff. They have a lot of, punching power. They have a lot of resilience. They have barriers and stuff they can throw up. They're just the opposite of a hunter. And then you have kind of the mix of both, which is the magical warlock, which is like a Swiss Army knife of everything. I mean, we can throw a Nova bomb at you, or we can freeze you with a turret, or we could, weaken you and make you volatile and make you stupid drunk with void and not be able to hit anything. And I mean, there's so many ways you can play this game. So a good question. Thank you for that. We got another hypothetical here. One, Kingsley, hang in there. This is from Fluffy. GDC podcast scenario question. If you had 72 hours to Sherpa 5 Guardians, no prior raid knowledge through a raid for a designated amount of money listed below, which raid would you choose? Here's the setup. All Guardians, including yourself, have full open schedules, unlimited food and drinks. That's important. You, the Sherpa, are allowed to use any tools out there at your disposal. However, none of these tools can be shared with your fire team. An example, you can watch a guide on the raid, but you can't send the link of the video to any of your teammates. You can reference images, materials, diagrams, etc., but none of your work can be sent to your fire team. Third, you are allowed to use all weapons, but your fire team cannot use any raid weapon unless acquired during that raid. You cannot cheese any of the encounters. Well, there goes Last Wish. Each encounter has to be done legit. All right, here's your reward cost. Raid reward cost. All right, here we go. Number 1, Vault of Glass, $500. Number 2, Root of Nightmares, $500. Number 3, Deepstone Crypt, $750. Number 4, Crota's Inn, $750. Number 5, King's Fall, $1,000. Number 6, Garden of Salvation, $1,000. Last Wish, $2,500. Vow of Disciple, $2,500. And finally, number 9, Salvation's Edge, at $10,000. So what are you doing there, Kingsley? What's going to be your choice, man?
Yeah, this is a fun question. I obviously used to Sherpa raids more. He actually sent me a preview of this question.
Oh, nice.
We talked about it a little bit, and I thought it was a fun question. And the people could have some nitpicks on the order. Like I think Deepstone is pretty I think Deep Stone is easier than Root of Nightmares to teach people. Even if you're just telling the people to add spots, like they still can die a lot and stuff. But anyways, I would easily pick Last Wish. I think that's the most amount of bang for my buck for ease. Last Wish, I don't know why people are still so scared of that raid. And even without the cheese at the end, it's really not too bad. I've had so many teams I've Sherped through Last Wish where also it's a raid where not everyone has to do everything. So that makes it easy there. And, I mean, at the very last encounter, Queen's Walk, sure, most people have to do something, probably.
It's probably the toughest part of Last Wish, yeah.
But still, or I'm just looking at all the amounts, and that's where I would kind of draw the line for the amount. I think it'd be easier to teach Last Wish than Vow of the Disciple, and those are both that amount. And then Salvation's Edge, of course, goes up to 10,000, and that's kind of when I stopped, doing that anyways. So I'm not going to teach that one. But yeah, that's the one I would pick. What about you?
Yeah, for me, it's not about the money; it's about the experience. And I'm not being.
You want money.
Okay, I would
pick
probably
the best one for money that you think is easy for you.
I think. Let me see if you can guess what it is. What do you think it is of that list?
I think I know, and probably what most people would say actually.
Yeah,
would be Kingsfall.
You nailed it. That's my favorite raid. Yeah. It's my favorite raid to Sherpa because you can grief people so many times with all the jumping ships and stuff. Poor Mr. Monkey. I grief that.
Yeah, but remember, you want to pass it. You don't want.
Oh, I know, but I can't have fun along the way. Come on, I can't do a little griefing. Course, yeah. The griefing, griefing's a heavy word. Let's say, joke around.
No, I get what you're saying.
Around,
yeah.
or, make it an experience. Yeah, exactly. I would, Kingsfall. Yeah, I love Kingsfall. Still one of my favorite raids. And I know it the best, so it makes sense. That'd be the easiest for me to do. And the money's not bad. $1,000.
Oh, it's not bad at all. That'd probably be my second choice based on these amounts given here.
Exactly.
Kingsfall is always like refreshing enough. It's challenging enough, but I never feel like overburdened when I'm in that raid.
Yeah.
Last Wish, 80% of the time, I feel pretty chill about it. There's times where the experiences are bad with people. Garden, I loved Sherping that one in the past. But I've fallen away from it a little bit, but I'm still really good at that one. Gross Crotus. Deep Stone, I loved doing that one, and that one's not that hard.
Crotus too cheap. That's too much. That's too much to go through.
The funny thing about Vaulted Glass too is everyone's like, yeah, it's the easiest raid, but it's easy until you get to the very end. And then so many people have this setup where they're like, okay, we don't need to teach that much because it's easy. You just tell the basic. But then sometimes when they get to the end, because you're tired, but that's when you need to explain the most is the last encounter for new people. And either people get tired so they don't explain it as much, or they don't think they need to explain it as much. And then I've seen so many teams that are always saying, yeah, we're doing easy, chill Vaulted Glass raids, yet they're in the last encounter for longer than they should be. So I'm not saying the team sucked. I'm just saying, you got to remember, people, Vaulted Glass is easy until the end, and then people actually have to at least have some knowledge of what they're doing.
Yeah. I'm all about the fun. Raids take a sizable amount of your time, and it would have to be, I would take less money if I could have more fun in the raid. That would be my answer to that. So thanks, Fluffy. That was a good question, man. Thank you for sending that our way. Let's see. We have, Dimwee said, I would pay 10,000 not to explain Verity. Yeah, I'm not touching that one. Not touching Salvation. But Dimwee does have a question as well. He goes, question for the show. Which moment in Destiny had you thinking, this is peak Destiny? Can be shared moment with friends, the weapon you finally got, or just sitting in orbit. That's a deep question. It's peak Destiny.
It's hard, but I think just because they put such a good ending on it, I really do think the Final Shape expansion with the ending is peak Destiny. Now, it's peak as far as like how everything kind of like closed up and it was a good expansion and everything. But I'll sure tell you, in the past, I also felt like it was peak Destiny with Taken King and then Forsaken. Those were also some moments that were definitely peak.
Yeah.
That are very close to Final Shape to me.
Forsaken would definitely be a close second for me, but just there's so many things going for Final Shape. It's a linear storyline, which Bungie never seems to do. I mean, they even tell you, don't leave, finish the story, and then the rest of the world will open up for Final Shape for the season. And, I liked that the fact they made you stay put, and just every night I remember working on a story at a time, and each story I did everything solo legend, and every story was so challenging. And as you got deeper and deeper into the story, the challenges just got harder and harder. And, I just had so much fun doing it. I wish I could go back and relive it, because, that to me was peak Destiny, because all the years that we had played this game and it came to this final, like, celebration of this whole epic story that we've been playing for 10 years, I felt like it all came together, and I was just in awe when I played, Final Shape. So much fun. So yeah, that'd be my answer to that. So, thank you, Dimwee. I think that's all the questions we had tonight. So, I want to thank everyone who came out tonight and, interacted with us. Again, thank you, JD Kent, for becoming a Fist Bump patron. You're actually going to be able to hear our first patron episode. I mean, you can go back and listen to we got video and audio Patreon episodes, but, you'll get to hear the latest one coming out, this weekend. So, but hey, do me a favor, guys, hit that like button, the bell, the star, whatever the thing is on the YouTube stream here. And, that way it'll get shown to more people and people will find out about our little podcast. So, hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. I think most of you guys are subscribed, and yeah, just, give us some feedback in our Discord for anything we've been talking about tonight. And I really hope you guys are having a lot of fun with the new Heresy. Any final words there, Kingsley?
I'm looking forward to seeing what's coming up. I feel like we at least have a lot of content and stuff that's going to be coming up quickly, at least through April, beginning to mid, and then we'll see what comes up after that between May, June, July. But I'm definitely more excited than I thought I would be. This isn't like, I think, bringing everyone back that stepped away, but I'm excited for myself.
Excellent. Yeah, I know you like discovering stuff. I know this is right up your alley, and I like challenging activities. I do. And that first week I played that solo, it was certainly challenging, and I was probably underpowered too. So, because you lose all your artifact power when the season starts. So, had a great time doing that, and I just really hope everyone dives in. And from the numbers I'm seeing on Steam alone, nearly 80,000 players. That's a lot. And there's 57,000 playing right now. Maybe a little less because it's getting later.
A lot for these days. It's been better in the past.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
And we were just talking last week about how, Frontiers better bring it, because, we're hurting right now. This is the content we've had from Revenant has just been not up to our expectations, at least not mine. And, wow, what a difference a week can make, right? So.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, look, it's a Destiny Help Desk. Well, I figured the best way to start out our first Destiny Help Desk segment was to mention some things that can help you stay alive in the game, especially with the new attrition modifier and the new Heresy activity, the Nether. The Nether is a really challenging encounter and lots of mysterious things to discover as well, but I want to make sure you are armed with some knowledge when it comes to staying alive, which to me is the most important thing you can do for your fire team in PvE activities. Whether it's a tough Grandmaster Nightfall, killing enemies in Gambit, doing your part in the many raids and dungeons in Destiny 2, and like I mentioned earlier, not eating up those revive tokens on the Dreadnaught. So here are some things that can help you stay alive in Destiny 2. And let's start with your main tools, your weapons. Some weapons in Destiny 2 can actually heal you, and in some instances, make you unkillable if used correctly. The first class of weapons are your exotic weapons, and keep in mind, you can only equip one of these in your loadout. One of my all-time favorites when trying to stay alive in a new raid is the exotic hand cannon called Crimson. It's a kinetic weapon that has an exotic perk, Banned Weapon, where it fires a 3-round burst. The special perk is called Cruel Remedy, whereby kills with this weapon heal you, and precision kills actually refill your magazine. If you have hordes of enemies coming your way and you have no time to reload or heal, This is a classic super weapon. You can acquire it randomly from an exotic engram at the Cryptarch in the tower, or better yet, you can directly purchase it from the Monument of Lost Light in the tower between the two vaults. I'm not a fan of hand cannons, but this one is for real. If you complete the catalyst, look in the catalyst and ornament section in your UI to find out where to get it to drop for you. But when you complete the catalyst, you'll gain 20 range, which will nearly max out the range of the gun. If you don't have this one, get it now. Another weapon that is my all-time favorite from Destiny 1 is the Red Death Reformed, which you will get from the Final Shape expansion, I believe, that's where I got mine. I got it actually from the Season Pass bar, so if you don't have it, check the Monument of Lost Light and you can outright purchase it for 100,000 Glimmer and 1 exotic cipher, which, if you don't know what that is, you can get those from Zur and your Season Pass level 60. As a pulse rifle main, this rifle does it all. The 2 exotic perks are Redemption, where final blows with the weapon cure you and it increases your reload speed, and reloading after final blows will cure your nearby allies as well. The second exotic perk it has is called Inverse Relationship, that activates when you deal damage with the weapon. It'll gain increased handling, also aim down the sight speed, take reduced flinch from enemies, and your movement speed is increased for a short amount of time. Also, when you are at a reduced health, this weapon actually gains additional damage. Man, this gun is a one-man wrecking crew. It makes you damn near invincible whenever you use it. If you get the Catalyst, again, look in the Catalyst and Ornament UI to find out where you need to get it. You'll gain 20 range, which again nearly maxes it out range-wise. And as you get kills with the weapon, it charges up. And then the next final blow will create a healing burst at your location, and it still will leave a remnant behind that provides restoration to your allies if they're not near you. This gun is crazy good, and depending on if you like rifles versus hand cannons, both the Crimson and Red Death make a great survivability weapon, so make sure you have at least one of these in your loadouts. There are tons of other weapons that will heal you as well. There's support frame auto rifles in the new Heresy and from the Final Shape. There's perks on weapons called Heal Clip, and there's other weapons as well that I'm not mentioning here. But for the sake of time, I just want to mention those 2 critical exotic weapons that you really need to make sure you have at least one of. Now let's talk about armor. The first thing you should do in any PvE activity where you need to stay alive is to make sure your resilience value is at 100. This will guarantee the highest amount of hits or damage that you can take before you die. Don't even think about it. Max it out. Speaking of armor, there are a few mods that I want to make sure you have equipped that will make you even tankier in an activity. On your chest armor, you'll want to apply the damage resistance mods to your armor. There are seasonal resistance mod that only cost 1 slot, but it depends on the energy of your super. But you can also apply other resistance mods for a cost of 2 slots that resist energy types that aren't your super. I try to equip as many as I can, but Arc, Void, and Solar Resistance mods match most of the energy types coming from enemies, but there's also Stasis and Strand Resistance mods too. You can even double up on a single energy type to give you even a greater resistance, but keep in mind each additional mod awards a diminishing amount. You can also apply concussive dampener mods to reduce area of effect damage from enemies, melee resistance mods to reduce incoming damage from enemies at close range, and finally, sniper resistance mods that reduce the sniper damage coming from those, those invisible enemies up high that you never do see until you're one shot and dead. Yeah, those guys. All these mods will keep you alive longer, but there's one type you need to know about, and that's on your leg armor. The mods there will give you health when you pick up an Orb of Power. The first mod is called Recuperation. It replenishes health each time you pick up an orb, right? That's simple. But it's a small chunk of instant health. This is really good for those moments that you're on the brink of death. The other mod is called Better Already. And this mod is different than Recuperation in that it starts your regeneration faster when you pick up an Orb of Power. Both do good things. I actually have both on mine. But make sure at least one of those is on your leg armor. By the way, you can also stack these as well. Like the damage resistance mods I mentioned earlier. but you'll again get diminishing amounts the more you apply. There are so many other ways you can build into health, but I might be here a while, and I just wanted to give you some really easily accessible ways to instantly make your Guardian stronger in those PvE activities. There are aspects and fragments that will create health. There's exotic armor pieces, and even other ways that I really want you to discover on your own. Hey, I hope this helps, and enjoy your playtime, especially in the new season of Heresy. Thanks for stopping by the Destiny Help Desk. Later, Guardian. Hey everyone, as I take my mandatory bathroom break, I'd like to thank our Patreon community for giving back and continue to help out a listener-supported podcast like this one. If you've received any value for today's episode and want to give back, check out GuardianDownCast.com and select the Patreon button to learn more about it. Now let's return to the conversation. And yes, I did wash my hands. Later, Guardian. Every week I like to give a shout out to a member of the week. This is someone that I've noticed more active in our Discord community and has gotten involved in our show and just generally been a good person. As a reward, we like to give them a shout out on the show, and they'll also receive a special Community Member of the Week role in the Discord with a nice little icon next to their name representing the show. So our member shout out of the week goes to a member who's actually been here a little over a year now. He's been an awesome supporter of our community and show and is part of our Patreon community as well. He's added some really great feedback that was so good, it prompted a topic of the week about it. So congrats to Amazing Taco King. Thanks for hanging out with us, sir, and congrats on being our member of the week. I wanted to thank all of our patrons of the show, members like JD Kent, who just joined our Patreon community this past week as our new Fist Bump patron. Thank you, sir. A quick shout out also to our Dungeon Champion patrons. That's Technical, Raffi, Deadpool 1 Merc, and Darth Noodle. A thank you to our Raid Boss patrons. That's Jealous, Frostbite, and again, Amazing Taco King. Remember that all the Patreon funds go right back into our community. So thank you, gentlemen and ladies. So we hope you all enjoyed this week's show. We have certainly been pleasantly surprised with the new content in Heresy, and I can't wait to jump back in and play more of it. Kingsleymac gave some really great tips on all the new currencies and materials, more stuff that I won't remember and show to keep track of, and also what is involved as you embark into the new episode. We had our first Destiny Help Desk segment this week where I discussed some of the things in game that can help you preserve that precious health while running through the Nether activity, and my hope is that it gives you more ammunition to fight off those hordes of enemies coming at you in game. If you all like the extra helpful segment, give me some feedback on what else you might think that I can mention in a future segment. You know, that might help more of our casual Guardians out there and even those new lights enjoy their time in the Destinyverse. So my question to you is, how are you enjoying the new Heresy content? Let us know. You can email us at guardiandowncast@gmail.com. Talk to us in the Discord at discord.gg/guardiandowncast, or you can send us a voicemail with your thoughts or questions at guardiandowncast.com. Next week, Kingsley and I will be back to talk about the new Sundered Doctrine dungeon, and we might have some bonus content with a special guest as well. So stay tuned, and hopefully we'll see you in our live chat on Thursday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern on my YouTube channel. That's ToddtheGatr, 2 Ds and GATR, or in our Discord and our Stage channel. I usually create the event every week. If you want to join, just hit yes. I like to be there. That's a wrap. Another episode in our collection. For our new listeners out there, we have 289 episodes with interviews from gamers all over the community. So take a look at those, especially if you're just finding out about us. And the only way we grow is by you telling another Guardian about us. Everything's at GuardianDownCast.com. A special thanks to my co-host Kingsleymac. You can find him in our Discord. I'll also have his links in the show notes down below if you'd like to follow him. You can contact me at ToddtheGatr, 2 Ds and GATR, all across the socials and gaming platforms. And you can reach me at via email at guardiandowncast@gmail.com. Remember, as you're playing Heresy, take breaks, get outside, and touch grass. Warcry. You listening, old man? Hey, remember everyone, we're Guardian Downcast. Your stories, your community, your destiny. And be good to your fellow Guardians in the Destinyverse.
The weight of the world was on your shoulders, and still you triumphed. Marvelous.
Thank you all so very much for listening. And later, Guardian. What's a Destiny Help Desk doing here? Hey kids, it's the Destiny Help Desk. Whoa. The Destiny Help Desk. Hunter's Masterclass, really?